30 years ago. Any of you remember that voice, by the way? Just give you a few seconds to recollect. Yes, Peter Thompson, very famous BBC commentator, indeed started me in the business. That was Hearts winning the Cup 30 years ago against Celtic. Now, first of all, can I start off by apologies and apologising, in fact, on behalf of somebody, Graham Souness, the new Rangers captain, and of course, the captain of Scotland, new Rangers manager and captain of Scotland, of course, going out to Mexico. Graham was supposed to be in the programme with us this afternoon. Unfortunately, he had to go on family business, and he's not going to be here. We do understand that he's been under very great pressure, and we do hope he enjoys his few days of holiday with the family before he goes to Mexico next Wednesday. So he's not at Hampden Park at all this afternoon, but I'm delighted to present to you two gentlemen who have different facets of football to their appearance. And first of all, just beside me here, Andy Roxburgh, who's the Director of Coaching, which really means he is the national coach. And not only that, esteemed in FIFA, considered one of the outstanding coaches in the world, and he'll be with us this afternoon and with me in the commentary position. And a gentleman you may recognise, I haven't seen him for quite a while, hasn't changed all that much, Charlie Nicholas. Charlie, you weren't even born when that last game was on, were you?
No, I don't. I've heard a lot about that match, actually, but don't remember too greatly them years, actually.
Andy, the game has changed remarkably in that period of time, hasn't it?
Yes, I like how you swung from the young lad to the old fella, yeah. Yes, you're quite right. The game has changed a lot. I mean, in those days, when you beat the full-back, you ran for 40 yards and decided what you were going to do. But nowadays, you don't have that space of time, as Nick here will tell you. You
know, when I talk to these old players, they all give me the suggestion that they just walked onto the park and played. How would you actually like to do that, Charlie, nowadays, without a coach or somebody else telling you what to do?
You watch your signing, Charlie.
Look after you, Andy. No, I mean, that's the way I've been brought up. That type of football is the way I was brought up to believe the way it should be played. I would love to go out and just beat somebody and everybody next minute you're naked as a room. It'd be great, but the game's changed dramatically, and obviously you've got to adjust with it.
Well, we'll be coming back to you in a second. Let's have a look at Hearts' Cup record, actually. We can, I think, have a look at that, what they've done previously in the Cup. They won the Cup 5 times, and I'm looking at a monitor that's going up and down and up and down, and I can't read it at the moment. But this is what you have to put up with. 1906 against the Lanark, I'm told. 1901 against Celtic. 1896 against Hibs. 1891 against Dumbarton, and that came through that little deaf aid that I was telling you about at the start of the programme. Thanks to the producer for that. Well, that's their record. Now, when they played Rangers here the last time they were at Hampden Park, in fact, I recollect it. It was a very rainy day, perhaps even worse than the day today, and I'll always recollect that game for the amazing start, which really stunned Hearts.
There isn't a club playing in a Scottish Cup final that doesn't go for a quick snap. In they go. McLean with Gregg. In goes Johnson. It's here. That's the snap goal I was talking about. 40 seconds. That's 20 seconds later than the one he scored last week. 1-0 for Rangers. The Hearts defence coming right back for this, and they need to because Johnson will be there, Henderson, and of course Jackson coming up just into the penalty box now. McKean with it. Jackson just behind Darren McDonald. Let fly. That's it. Eric McDonald makes it 2-0 for Rangers on the half-time whistle. Here's Martin Henderson in the open. Gregg coming through. Henderson with it. There's McKean with Brown. Can he overdo it? Good running by McKean though. That's it. Derek Johnston, the third goal. McKean laying it right off there. Gregg allowing him to run straight towards the penalty area. Heading for the shot. This must be a goal. Graham Shaw, bold effort by Hearts at this stage. 3-1.
Well, they couldn't make it, unfortunately. That was a disappointing visit to Hampden for Hearts. They expect to turn the tables today, of course. Now, I was talking earlier on about how commentators can feel nervous before they do this sort of thing, but just think of the players. Now, Bill McFarlane went down to see Mill earlier this morning to find out how Hearts were doing. They've had a horrendous week, of course, having lost the league championship under very difficult circumstances. How did they feel?
The Clyde outside Hearts Seamill headquarters this morning was rather like the club's week, turbulent. The teams had a rough ride since Dens Park, when it should have been full steam ahead to the cup final. But the players, enjoying a light breakfast at 9 this morning, were showing no sign of cup nerves. The mood was relaxed and fairly jovial. The coach driver was busy making sure the bus was in pristine condition, while Alex McDonald had the same aim for his players. It's 10 o'clock and time for training. The majority of the squad seem in good shape, clearly having been early to bed last night. But there's always one young tearaway who's ready to let the team down. At 37, Sandy Jardine was making out he's just no longer able to take it. Or was it that Tynecastle sense of humour again? In any case, the mood seems right. Well, Alex McDonald, there seems no sign of cup final morning nerves at all, is there, in the team?
Absolutely no way. This is a one-off occasion. It's a big occasion, but as you see, the lads are looking forward to it.
What sort of preparations have you made towards the tail end of the week?
Well, obviously the biggest thing was just to lift the lads up, but that was no problem in itself. But we come down here just to get away from everything, from phone calls, from, you know, and generally the public who have been tremendous, and well-wishers and autograph hunters. You know, we come down here to keep away from that and keep the players nice and relaxed. And obviously it's worked for us, you can see that yourself.
And you feel that the team now has recovered from the trauma of last Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, without any doubt. Obviously the virus itself, well, that'll be an after effect. We'll have to see how much it took out of them after the game. But certainly beforehand, they're looking forward to it.
But you have a fully fit team now?
Yeah.
Well, that's good news anyway. Sandy Jardine, you've been at Hampden once or twice before. Is this rather different for you?
Oh no, it's just another big occasion. It's something that hopefully I'll go out and enjoy.
We've seen many teams, notably Dundee United, losing their bottle in cup final afternoon. Have you been able to try to shed some of your experience onto the younger members of the team?
Oh yes, I don't think we'll lose our bottle. We might get beat today, but it'll not because we lose our bottle.
Do you think it's quite different from the league campaign, though? Do you think you've perhaps more chance than you thought you had at the beginning of the season of winning the cup than you had of the league?
Really, you just take one game at a time. I think we've got a very good chance today. We had a great chance in the league. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for us, but that's history now. And we've got a second chance.
Well, let's wish you all the very best for this afternoon.
On this nice sunny day.
Yeah. Yeah, we play well when it's raining.
Hearts believe they'll give Aberdeen a good run for their money, even though it's 10 years since the Edinburgh side walked out on cup final afternoon at Hampden. The players, having been firm favourites for the league, know that they go into this match as underdogs. Not that anybody at this morning's light training session at Ardrossan could detect that from the team. Well, despite the heavy rain, the black clouds over the Tynecastle players seem to have lifted by this morning. Sandy Jardine and Alex McDonald, no strangers to Hampden Park, seem to have done the right kind of job to put the players back into the right spirit for this afternoon. The training's been working well, they've had their breakfast, they're in good spirits. It's all down to what happens this afternoon.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. McFarlane and the Sea Breezes down there at Seamill. And Seamill, Charlie, that's a favourite place of yours and Celtic, wasn't it, before Cup finals?
Yeah, it's always been a place that Jock Stein believed to take the players to get them relaxed and in the right frame of mind for the Cup finals.
Now, do you know players who suffered badly from nerves and whose performances were affected by them?
I think there's a lot of players I've played with who, I mean, myself, I get nervous, but it actually helps me, it gets the old adrenaline going. But the only players that I've known that suffered badly really is John McDonald or Rangers. Oh. He used to be sick quite often, I think, when he played in big occasions, which was
during a game?
Yeah, actually during a game against Celtic, I remember. I wasn't playing, but I remember he was quite sick behind one goal.
Yeah. Andy, as a coach, do you look for players and feel that one or two might just be vulnerable because of their attitude going out onto the field?
Yes, obviously at this level, this is a major problem. I mean, they've all got talent or they wouldn't be here today. And it's really which team has the nerve on the day. This is obviously what Alec Ferguson's banking on because their team is seasoned and experienced at this level. And it's the question mark over Hearts today. Yeah. But they've got talent in the team and, you know, one would look for them to settle down fairly quickly.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Aberdeen because let's have a look at the favourites. And they are favourites to pick up the Scottish Cup this afternoon. Why are they favourites? Well, they're favourites because in the last 4 years, they've proved the fact that they can step out here at Hampden Park and win. And that's very important.
Brilliant ball by Cooper. DL. Then it goes into John McDonald, he scored. 1-0 for Rangers. A quite superb goal by John McDonald. And about 12 minutes of the first half gone. That's a good-looking ball again at Jackson. Hard hit there by Simpson. And there's a floating equaliser by Alec McLeish. 1-1, a superb goal. Strachan. Well, that's a brilliant ball. McGee, he scored. Mark McGee has put Aberdeen into the lead. McGee running very well. And it's still there. What's McGee going to do? It must be. Yes. Strachan has made it 3-1. And that is it, I would imagine. Strachan. Away goes Cooper. Cooper with a great chance. Cooper must make it 4. He does. Oh. He could hardly believe he got through eventually. Russell. Oh. A gift now. Simpson. Wants a 1-2. That's a good ball. McGee likes his position. It could be there. It is the winner. That will win the cup. Eric Black, 1-0. That is the end. Strachan plays it away wide. Alec McLeish is up. Here's Black with a chance. Has it gone in? It has. Eric Black has scored for Aberdeen. 1-0. Danny McGray. Well, there's a chance, and there's the equaliser. Paul McStay. Celtic would not mind a replay out of this situation. Bell with a great goal off the post. I thought it was in. And there it is, yes. Mark McGee does it. 2-1.
And curiously enough, all these victories in the Scottish Cup final for Aberdeen were in extra time, and it shows they not only have the attitude, but they have endurance and stamina as well. Now, that keynote that we were talking about, the experience, obviously means something to them. They've been able to step in, relish the atmosphere. Willie Miller, the captain himself, says that you've got to experience losing here and winning here. When you do that, you become almost a permanent resident. Well, he has done that. So we wondered how they would feel this morning. So Dougie Donnelly took himself up early and got down to the Aberdeen camp headquarters to find out if the nerves were very steady or whether they were quivering.
Aberdeen spent the night before the cup final in the same airport hotel they always use when they're in Glasgow. And it's been very lucky for them in the past. This is their 4th cup final in 5 years, of course, and they've won the previous 3. A wet and a windy morning, though, as the Dons prepared to head out to Hampden for a first look at the pitch and a loosening up session. And when I spoke to manager Alex Ferguson, I asked him whether there were any last-minute problems for the team.
Not at all. Everything's gone as we'd planned. Nice night last night, relaxing, so we're all ready.
How did you spend yesterday evening? What do you do with the players the night before a cup final?
Well, it's the same procedure as we always have. We come to Glasgow area. The players have an early dinner and they're in the rooms after that.
So it's very much taking it easy, no taking them out to the cinema or even taking them to the Glasgow Cup final or anything like that?
No, I didn't want to frighten them.
Just looking out at the weather, Alec, it's not the kind of weather you might choose for a cup final. It's pretty wet, the forecast showery, and perhaps more importantly, it's pretty windy. Is that a problem for you?
Well, I think it's not so bad that there's a bit of water, because at this time of year, as you know, the parks can get a bit dry. Hampden should be in perfect condition now with the rain. The wind is something that, I don't think it's terribly strong, but it's fresh, and that can, at Hampden Park, of course, create a problem, particularly crosses. But, well, we've got the experience of playing here, so I think the players will handle that all right.
I remember you telling me before that the last hour before a match, you always get a little bit edgy. You certainly look relaxed enough now, but are you feeling any kind of tension that this is a particularly important match?
I always stay at the road of the players there before a game, because I honestly believe they should be preparing themselves. They've heard all the things I've got to say about it, yesterday, and maybe for a quarter of an hour, before we go to Hampden today, we'll go over things, a rerun over various things we spoke about yesterday. But once they get to Hampden, they've got to mentally prepare themselves. They don't want to. I don't think they should be hearing me drumming into them all the various things we're thinking over and over again anyway. And they should have a bit of silence and go on with their own thing.
And there's obviously going to be a very big crowd because you always bring down a big crowd. Hearts are bringing through a big crowd from Edinburgh. I think there might be a difference this year, and is that in the previous cup finals, you've probably had the neutral support. But this year, maybe that's all gone Hearts' way because of the events of last weekend. Are you aware of that?
Oh, yes, I think so. I think we're taking the place. I was saying that in the last 3 finals we've been here, we've beaten the Old Firm tradition, we've beaten their support, and I think that epitomises the standard of players we've had at Pittodrie in the last few years. Today we're taking the place of the Rangers and Celtic. Hearts are trying to beat our tradition, and of course I've got all the neutral supporters to help. But that's great for the game. I think Hearts deserve that.
And it's a compliment to Aberdeen that you are now so much established as the team to beat.
Well, you hear it, the 6-a-sides this year at the Kelvin Hall, the hatred, that goes across towards Aberdeen. And it's only because of the top dog, And but that's something we live with, and we're not too worried about it.
Now, as we know, you've had such a bad season for injuries, Alec, but you've got such a powerful squad, and looking at your team selection today, with the possible exception of Neil Simpson, it's what most of us would consider your strongest side, so you must be pleased about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's when I can name players like Leighton, McLeish, Miller, McMaster, Weir, Bett, Cooper, Houghton, all these players in the final, then within myself I get a satisfaction. I've relaxed myself when I know I can name these players.
Sure. And the one man you mentioned there is sitting alongside you now. We all thought John's career at the top was over. You must be absolutely delighted that he's back today particularly.
Absolutely. I would like to say to John now, thanks for that wee tip you gave me, a few bob for playing you. It's very nice.
My fortune, my
very nice of him.
fee,
John,
no, I think. Sorry, on you go.
No, I was just going to say to John, I mean, are you injury prone, John? I mean, you're sitting there with the old eye wound or head wound, and you've just come back after this horrific series of injuries.
No, I wouldn't say injury prone. I feel every footballer's liable to get an injury now and again. I went about 8 or 9 years maybe before I had a bad injury, Dougie. Then obviously the Liverpool injury knocked us back about 6 months. And then I had to get my ankle rebuilt. So really, I've only had really 2 bad injuries. And maybe a wee strain here and there. But I feel it's part and parcel of the job, and you've just got to go on with it.
Did you at any time think, John, that that was it? You wouldn't actually play first-team football again?
I never ruled first-team football out, but cup final, team football, well, it's a dream, isn't it? At the end of this year anyway, especially my testimonial year. But no, if you start giving up the goals for first-team football, it's no use turning up for training, do you know?
So you're obviously particularly looking forward to this afternoon then?
Oh, definitely. We've got a lot of people to thank for it, but I'm going to enjoy myself today.
All the very best to you both for this afternoon. Have a good cup final.
Thanks, Dougie. Hope a good game.
And just about an hour after that breakfast time conversation, the Aberdeen party arrived here at Hampden. As you can see, still a very windy morning, pretty rainy morning as the party arrived in that coach from the airport hotel. And they were sent out to the car park. No glamorous surroundings at this early stage of cup final day out there. Just a little bit of one-touch stuff, just to loosen off the muscles, a little bit of warming up. Alec Ferguson looking on, a rather bedraggled Fergie at this point. As he mentioned, hoping perhaps for slightly better weather for the final itself. Those perennial shots of footballers in training, working the stiffness out of the muscles. A very cheerful camp indeed. A quick last-minute word of advice from your friend and mine to the Aberdeen manager, perhaps letting him know who he's got in the BBC sweep. And Fergie moves back inside. The players going into change back into the tracksuits, although not everyone knew the right entrance. Billy Stark will certainly know his way to the substitutes bench at Hampden this afternoon. The pitch itself looking, as always, in excellent condition. Jim Bett leading the side back out onto the coach. Neil Simpson, sadly, out of the match today. Cup of coffee in the car park. Peter Weir, he could be a very important man. He relishes those wide open spaces here at Hampden. The coach driver waits. Fergie, a cheerful word for a few of the Dons fans who are along here very early indeed. And it's back onto the coach, back to the hotel for a light lunch before returning here somewhere around about 1:30, 1:45 this afternoon. And here we are, a fairly windswept cup final afternoon. I shall spend much of the afternoon, no doubt, trying to avoid the old cup final cliche that the atmosphere is building. It's very hard to do that, mind you, because it very much is a case of the crowd arriving. And it's a great occasion. The days of the 147,000 crowds that watched cup finals all of 50 years ago may have gone, but it's still a great occasion, and it's all credit to Hearts and to Aberdeen. They'll be bringing a crowd of somewhere around 60,000 to this cup final this afternoon. Well, we'll be back to the atmosphere, but not be hanging about too long for the action to start. Here we are, still over 2 hours before the cup final actually gets underway, and already, as I'm sure you can see, a lot of fans beginning to arrive here. A lot of Hearts fans, they're turning up in enormous numbers, as we knew they would, and on behalf of all those who were at Dens Park last Saturday, it's good to see them smiling and cheerful and drying the tear stains. And I think a lot of the neutrals will be hoping that Hearts are going to make up for the disappointment of last week by taking the Scottish Cup today. But Aberdeen, I'm sure, will have something to say about that. Their fans also arriving in numbers, and we'll be back. In fact, we can see a couple of the youngsters who are here, looking forward to the match this afternoon, no doubt. And those fans arriving. A crowd of somewhere around 60,000 expected this afternoon.
It's a good football supporter. Somebody who can come out to Hampden in weather like this. It really is very appalling at the moment, although I'm assured it's going to be blustery and showery and the rain will be sporadic. So if you're thinking of coming to Hampden Park yet, I'm quite sure that you'll get some dry spells as well. At the moment, we are not. Supporters, of course, are coming from not only all over Scotland, but all over the world. I think particularly Hearts supporters, because as we've already pointed out earlier in the programme, they haven't been in the Scottish Cup final for 30 years, and therefore there's a great expectancy about them this time, despite the fact that they lost the league championship in the very last 7 minutes of the last game of the season last Saturday. So we wanted to find out what the intensity of feeling and fervour of support was for both camps. So we sent Revel Alderson out on the town. And if I can get through the next 10 seconds without being swept away, either by the wind or the rain, you might just see Revel and supporters.
The official football special trains aren't due to get into Glasgow from Aberdeen and Edinburgh for about an hour. But with a half-hourly service from the capital, that didn't really matter, as the Hearts fans poured into Queen Street Station.
You've got the cup in your hands. Do you think Walter Kidd and his men will have the cup at the end of the day?
No sweat today, no sweat.
You had a bit of a disappointment last weekend.
The worst day of my life.
No chance of that this weekend?
No chance. Aberdeen's no chance today. Absolute no chance.
An estimated 35,000 fans are deserting Edinburgh to go to Hampden. Don's fans were easily outnumbered at first this morning, but there's an obvious friendliness between supporters.
Have you just travelled down today, yeah?
Yes, made some good friends.
Well, it's very nice to see you like this. What do you think it's going to go like?
4-1 for Aberdeen.
4-1 for Aberdeen. What about you?
It's definitely win for Hearts.
Do you think it's going to be a good game, though?
It should be a very good game.
What about the weather? Who's that going to suit?
Them. Because they're covered, we are not.
Out in the wet streets, fans mingled good-humouredly. A big day, whichever team they were supporting.
Who's going to win?
Aberdeen.
What is the score going to be?
4-0 Aberdeen.
4-0? Who's going to score them? Just anybody?
Yeah.
Have you been to a cup final before?
Yeah.
Which one?
Aberdeen and Celtic.
And Aberdeen won that one.
Yeah.
So do you think you're a wee bit of a good luck mascot?
Yeah.
Although they'd no team in the final, Glaswegians were getting caught up in the invasion, with the chance to cash in.
Hey, everyone sits. Hey.
You're selling both Aberdeen rosettes
Yes,
and Hearts rosettes.
yes, I'm neutral.
Which are going best at the
Just
moment?
now, the Hearts is going best just now.
But you've plenty of stock when the Aberdeen train gets
we
in.
have lots of stock. Yeah, plenty.
Who do you support yourself?
I'm a Rangers supporter. No, I'm neutral.
Strictly neutral today.
I'm strictly neutral today. After the result last night, I'm a Rangers supporter. Hey, everyone set. Hey.
I would imagine he'll be doing quite good business. The weather, as you can see, has taken rather a turn for the worse, and it's at times like this you begin to wonder whether there are actually maybe easier ways of earning a living than standing out in the open being rained on and blown by the wind here at Hampden. But it's a cup final and we don't mind, and we're now bringing...
We are based here stabilizing the whole program by popping up every now and again to get the mood of the occasion. And by the way, here is my personal bodyguards. They look like two-legged zebras. Ball boys at Hampden Park, of course, very important part they play today with balls skidding away at the back. They'll be running out and get it back into play as quickly as they possibly can. Now, the weather, well, it's changing, and it changes every 30 seconds, about 30 seconds before they came back to me here in the tunnel at Hampden Park. It was glorious sunshine. Now the clouds are gathering again. It's just going to be one of these afternoons. But Dougie Donnelly has been speaking to some Hearts supporters outside the ground.
Well, I've heard of dressing for the occasion, but this really is verging a little bit on the ridiculous. The best-dressed bunch of Hearts fans I've ever seen in my life. Keith Smith, what is all this about?
Well, we've been planning this for quite a while, Dougie. It's been like since the start of the Scottish Cup, the boys have been playing good football, and well, we've done different things in the past. It's not nothing unusual. Everybody recognises us. As soon as we got in the cars, everybody knew it was us. So
what you've actually done is you've all dressed up in the tuxedos with in the maroon, of course, and you've turned up in a couple of limos as well, haven't you?
Well, it's only natural, isn't it? It's a day out. It's a day for the fans. Like, the team's done really well over this season, so we're just doing our piece.
Right. Champagne?
Of course.
Will there be You must be joking, and BBC expenses. Will there be champagne at 20 to 5? This is the question.
Well, Dougie, will there? This is what we want to know as well. Win or lose, Dougie, we're going to celebrate. Like, we've had, all right, it was a bit of disappointment last week and all the rest of it, but we've got over that. This is the day now, isn't it? That's last season.
Okay, let me
look forward to next season now.
Let me turn over to the gentleman on my left here. The scarf perhaps just takes away slightly from the outfit, but I must say you're looking tremendously dapper. What about the season as a whole for Hearts? Back in August, did you genuinely think that you'd be challenging for the league and in a cup final?
Well, if people had said at the start of the season Hearts would be playing for a point for the season, win the league, we'd say no, we wouldn't believe it. But now, for a good season, this is a climax to the season now. If we fall down, well, we're sick. But still Hearts season after all.
Are you going to be on the terracing or in the stand?
We're going to the terrace then. Why break tradition? Why break tradition? We've done everything. We've come for a local pub. So it's just been one of these days where everything's went according to plan so far, so it'll go according to plan on the pitch.
All that's different from a normal sort of way we go to a game and that is the dress and the cars. The formal gear's the difference. We go to the game, the Roseburn pub. Hope I got a pint next time I go up and all that, you know?
Lads, enjoy the game. Let's hope it goes well for you. Enjoy yourself. Well done.
Thank you.
I'd hate to see the state of these white tuxedos at around 4:45 this afternoon, but if they're celebrating, they won't mind the dry cleaning bills, that's for sure. Hampden, as you can see, beginning to fill up now. The fans are turning out in numbers from both Hearts and Aberdeen. And the weather, thankfully, at least for the moment, is a little kinder, although it looks like being the kind of afternoon where we're going to expect a few heavy showers. But as Fergie said this morning when we talked to him at breakfast, then that might just dampen down the pitch a little bit, but can be inclined to get a little bit fiery. So the cup final coming up for you at 3. Meantime, we're going to pick up on the ice hockey again, the Regal Scottish Cup final, and when we left it at the end of the second period.
Supporters, about at least 10,000 of them in at the moment, an indication of the huge number that have come through from Edinburgh, and I think eventually by 3 o'clock this afternoon we'll get something in the region of 35,000 of them. The players are beginning to percolate onto the park as well to have a look at it, which, by the way, is in a very good condition despite the heavy rain. I think the only adverse condition will be the very blustery wind. Well, these Hearts supporters are something special, are they not? They've followed a team from October when they were unbeaten all that way through until that tragic last 7 minutes for them at Dens Park last week. Now, part of the reason for the success, of course, is that they never walked alone, in the words of the song. They always had that huge phalanx of Tynecastle supporters with them, as they are here today. So Revel Alderson thought he would like to find out what their mood was like if they were in good heart, to pardon the pun, after last week. This is what he discovered.
The weather hasn't been the best so far today, so naturally fans arriving early in Glasgow were looking for somewhere drier than the city streets. But as usual, when you're thirsty, the pubs take a long time to open. These Hearts fans were soon inside, and Dons fans too were in search of inward sustenance, confident that their favourites would later be drinking champagne.
What do you think's the result's going to be?
Oh, 4-0 Aberdeen.
4-0.
Yes.
That seems to be a popular prediction. And who's going to score?
Not a clue.
Does it matter?
Not really, no.
McDougall will get a hat-trick. Think McDougall will?
Yes, no problem.
What do you think the game is going to be like? Do you think it'll be a good one?
Oh yes, good, hard, fast game.
What about the conditions? Do they not favour the Hearts a wee bit?
No, favour the supporters anyway.
You're going to get
tickets
wet
in the
Go on.
uncovered end.
Need a pint.
Yes. So we're going to get wet inside first.
You're going to go for a quick pint first?
A couple of pints, yes.
But for around 350 Hearts supporters, a couple of pints, a pie and some bovril wasn't the way to do it. They've paid £75 a head for a luxury breakfast, hotel lunch and meal after the game. Ordinary Hearts fans continued to flood into Queen Street Station, but there was no trouble.
Very brave man wearing an Aberdeen scarf coming from Edinburgh.
No, we just come through. We're students in Edinburgh, you see. So I came through today on the train with the Hearts fans. It's okay.
What's the atmosphere like between the two sets of fans?
Not much. They're friendly. It's a great day out for the cup final and everything. It's a good day out.
Well, there we are. We're now actually competing with the public address system, which is very timely. Came on at the very wrong moment, however. That happens in cup final days. Very confident Aberdeen supporters who think they'll snatch it. Well, they are favourites, of course. And now to our annual...
To add that was recorded a couple of days ago, just in case Hearts and Aberdeen fans are wondering what Wallace Mercer and Alec Ferguson are doing drinking champagne with Andy Cameron instead of being with their teams on this cup final day. Congratulations to Andy. We'll be speaking to him in just a second. In fact, live here at Hampden, where, as you can see, the ground now filling up very nicely indeed for the 101st Scottish Cup final. Hearts against Aberdeen. The weather, I suppose, it's as it has been for the last couple of hours. Intermittent showers, a little bit breezy, which might cause a few problems for the players. And the Blue Barons marching band entertaining the crowd with something in the order of half an hour to go until kick-off time. There it is, that's the scene outside at Hampden. I've now been joined not only by our Supersport champion Andy Cameron, but also by the newest name on the snooker scene. That, of course, is young Stephen Hendry from Broxburn. Welcome, Stephen. No need to ask you which team you're supporting today. We'll talk football in a moment, Stephen. Firstly, congratulations on the Crucible. Was it an enjoyable experience?
It's a tremendous experience playing at the Crucible. Nothing can really equal it. The Crucible, it's just brilliant.
Yeah. Was it as you expected, Stephen? Was it what you'd look forward to?
I'd been there the year before and I knew what the atmosphere would be like, but actually getting introduced and walking out at the beginning, the atmosphere is just tremendous.
Now, you have this ability, of course, to look as if absolutely nothing's bothering you. You're totally cool under pressure. Inside, is it all churning away, or are you really quite calm?
Well, I was quite surprised because I wasn't nervous at all. I was just going out and enjoying myself. I thought I would be very nervous, but I wasn't at all. I just went out and enjoyed myself.
Yeah, and you must be pleased with your form because you really gave Willie Thorne a heck of a fright, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought I was going to beat him. I was very pleased with the way I played for my first time on television.
Has your life changed in any way since then? I mean, obviously there's much more public recognition now. Are you aware of that?
I'm always aware of it wherever I go. There's always people noticing my face, asking for my autograph. I don't mind that.
You're quite enjoying that. Yeah. So I know that this month you're very busy. In fact, you're going down to a big tournament tomorrow, in fact, the Pontins tournament.
Yeah, I was invited to an 8-man professional thing in Wales, in Pontins, so I'm looking forward to that.
Great. Now, what about the Hearts? You've been a fan since you were a kid, I know. Can you remember the first time you ever saw them in action?
I think it was 1975, I think. I started going when I was 5 years old with my dad. I used to go to every home game.
Who were your favourite players?
Well, that day I can't really remember many players from then. Donald Ford, I think that was the only player I can remember.
That's right. Big Drew Busby maybe was playing at that time as well, possibly.
Yeah, Bobby Prentice, I think he was my favourite at that time.
Great. Now, sitting alongside you, the man we've just seen winning Supersport for, what is it, Andy, the third time?
Third time, Douglas, yes.
Does that mean you get Jane Frankie to keep?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Norma would like that, mind you, but it was a great experience, you know, with Fergie and Wallace Mercer there, the two guys who are involved today, and of course Tom Ferry, and I just made up my numbers really. It's a lot of fun, you know. It's just I thought I was a wee bit sharper on my buzzer, you know. Fergie was complaining that the referee was biased, but
no, like
she's
Fergie,
an Aberdeen fan, Jane Frankie, so I thought I did rather well to win it.
I know you always try to come to the Cup final, Andy. Obviously your own team aren't here today, so for once as a totally unbiased neutral, let's have a quick forecast from you. Who do you fancy?
I fancy Hearts. I think Hearts are going to do it because I think that the players must feel that they let the supporters down last week, although they didn't because there was a virus and everything, but they must say, well, we've got to do something for them because the support's been fantastic.
It has been.
And you'll hear them today because they're in the echo chamber, you know. And they're in the right end for winning the Cup. They're in your end. But see, No, I'm delighted that I was coming along Aikenhead Road there in the car, and there were out of taxis and everything, Aberdeen fans and Hearts fans, and they're waving scarves at each other. That was great to see that. You know?
There is a nice atmosphere,
a bit of a
isn't it?
spectacle, you know.
Right. What about this young man sitting alongside you? I know you're a bit of a snooker fan. Didn't he do well?
Incredible. I was just urging him on to beat Willie Thorne, and when you consider that he didn't beat him, you know, you say he's only 17. He's got all this life in front of him, you know. But I just wish him all the best. I hope he's built like a cutie. Look at him. He's like an X-ray with a short one. But I'll tell you, you're some player, sir.
Right.
You keep it up, and I hope your team win today because I've got a few quid on them, you know.
Unanimity among our guests here anyway. That means that you both agree, actually.
Excuse me, can I just point out that you've got your Rangers tie on today?
You certainly cannot. Can I pause the point? There's a little bit of red in this as well. I'm sure I've got maroon somewhere. Neutral as ever. Thanks, Andy.
Yes,
thanks, Stephen. Enjoy the match. Let's now go back outside for all the build-up to the Hearts Aberdeen Cup final. We join the SFA Director of Coaching, Andy Roxburgh, who's with our match commentator, Archie McPherson.
Thank you very much, Doogie. And that is a scene looking, I would say, roughly northwest at this moment, right down Hampden Park. The pitch, I may say, is in remarkable condition. It's taken a real battering from the rain today, but the van walking off just now would have been leaving some kind of impression had it been rather muddy and marshy out there, but it's not. And it's a great testament to the man who keeps this pitch in very good condition, the groundsman. And that is a very good factor today because there is a very strong breeze blowing, and Hampden is quite obviously notorious for its swirl. Now, the swirl will be there all right, and I think that would give goalkeepers nightmares. But I was talking to Henry Smith earlier. He seemed to be quite placid about the whole thing. But there is the wind. That gives you an indication of what it's like. Blowing from left to right, west to east. And Walter Kidd, Hearts captain, did say to me that if he won the toss, perhaps not surprisingly, he would get the wind at his back. And with the Hearts support at his back as well, he felt that that would be a very formidable force indeed. That is not at all surprising. Well, as Doogie said, I have the Director of Coaching, Andy Roxburgh, beside me, the man who knows more about these players than practically anybody other than the managers themselves. Andy, just one quick word about the conditions again. I know there's a very strong wind, but the heavy rain alternating with the sunshine hasn't really affected the pitch all that much.
No, the field's in excellent condition. As you say, a swirling wind, but hopefully it's going to settle down. It's not quite as bad as it was earlier on, Archie.
Well, we're going to look at some of the key players in the Cup final today. Now, not only the key players in this particular Saturday afternoon, but those who have been so right from the start of the season. Now, for example, the goalkeeping area. Now, Scottish goalkeepers have taken knocks in the past, but in the form of Henry Smith this year, he's been quite outstanding. Now, the great thing about Smith, of course, is that he's playing in front of a very hard-working team. But Smith, who came from Leeds United, his previous club, and was signed in 1981. He's a very good keeper, Andy.
Yes, he's been outstanding this season, Henry Smith. In fact, obviously one of the major reasons for Hearts' success. An excellent goalkeeper. We know that Mr. Greaves often makes jokes about him, but I think that Henry's answered him in the best possible manner.
And of course, he's had some superb saves this season. I mean, 2 in particular, I remember.
Yeah, there was one fantastic save at Tannadice against Dundee United, the one that he saved from Maurice Malpass, which was absolutely brilliant.
I think it'll be Bannon. He may go for the chip. There's a shot and a brilliant save. Oh, superb save. There it goes again. Oh, that's one of the saves of the season. Corner. Oh, it's a tempting one that is just knocked away. There's a brilliant save. Oh, superb. Brown is up, but it's just over, and that goalkeeper, Shirley, has done so much for Hearts this season. A monumental save.
67, signed in 1982. Incredible record, of course. 589 games with 44 goals. Scottish Cup, 77 appearances with 8 goals. The League Cup, 131 with 24 goals. I mean, that's astonishing. 38 caps, which is just one more than his age. I mean, you can't do better than that, Andy.
No, that's certainly true. In fact, last week I actually apologised to Sandy, 14 years late. 14 years ago, playing for Falkirk against Rangers, Sandy actually called me a has-been. I replied to that, it's better to be a has-been than a never was. Well, I apologised to him last week. I have to take it all back.
Well, you can't apologise for this goal. I mean, he scored almost 19 years ago to the day. He scored a marvellous goal when he was playing against Celtic in a game. You know,
inside forward, Smith. Jardine. That's a goal by Jardine. It's a goal for Rangers. With 5 minutes to half-time, that makes it Rangers 1, Celtic 0.
Game nearing its end. McLean to Jardine. Here's Russell. Overdoes it. McDonald with a chance. Jardine, yes! 4-0.
well, John Robertson, of course, is an ideal finisher. You know John Robertson well, Andy, don't you?
Yes, John played in our national youth team, and he's an outstanding player. He has he's this marvellous knack of making goals out of nothing, and obviously a deadly finisher with either foot. He's one that Aberdeen will have to watch very closely today when he feeds off our fancy striker, right?
I think Hearts will have to watch him very closely too, because the English scouts are really after him, aren't they?
Yes, I gather that they're after him. He's certainly, as I said to you, a player worth watching. And, well, it will be very disappointing for Scottish football if he does go south of the border, because he's the kind of player that excites the crowd. And obviously, he's a winner, and that's the most important thing about it.
Well, he'll certainly get caps. He's only had 2 under-21 caps at the moment, but he'll certainly get full caps by scoring goals like this.
Levine. High one again. Robertson with a shot. Oh, what a goal! Oh, a brilliant goal! Oh. Here could be a very interesting break. There's no offside. This could seal it. Robertson must score. He must, yes. Oh. And he's not praying.
Not bad finishing there, Andy. I mean, the first one was a stunning blow. The second one was very clinical and cool finishing.
Yes, wonderful composure, John, when he was through. That's one of the hardest things for a striker to do. People think it's easy, but when you're through with only the goalkeeper to beat, you have to keep very calm and composed, and John Robertson displayed that there.
Well, look at that atmosphere, Andy, building up now. We were worried about the weather spoiling it, but not a bit of it. The pipe band, the mass pipes and drums doing their bit out there. The traditional sounds, and from the Hearts supporters away in the enclosure, they're away to the back, massed in there. They're going to have a huge support this afternoon. I think even the Aberdonians I was talking to were admitting that fact. There they are. That's the main bulk of them, although they will be stretching away round to the right as well. And meantime, out in the open, facing the inclement weather, rather unfortunately for them, watching the Aberdeen side at the moment limbering up, are the Aberdeen supporters way at the back of the terrace, watching the captain, Willie Miller, going for his 5th winner's medal. I mean, for a club that, 6, 7, 8 years ago was struggling to get up there to the top. It shows you how astonishingly they have embedded themselves in the Scottish football firmament. That is the Aberdeen support. I was talking to Ian Taggart, the secretary, who was telling me that he sold something in the region of 19 to 20,000 tickets. Well, Jim Leighton is one of their great players, of course. There is Jim now. Safe pair of hands. Those pair of hands who've been, of course, injured recently, but Jim has picked up now. That's his record now. 240 games in the league, Scottish Cup 28, League Cup 41, caps 26. The Cup final record, of course, is very important because of experience, Andy.
Yes, Jim's a vastly experienced goalkeeper now, and I'm personally delighted to see him back today with the World Cup looming up. I think it was very important for him to get a game under his belt before we go to America and Mexico, and this couldn't be a better match. Obviously, playing in a cup final will really put him on his toes.
Yes, indeed, and I think some of the saves he makes, I mean, it's not just a matter of good handling, it's uncanny sense of timing.
20 minutes of the second half gone. It's a bad one. Fritz again. Better that time. There's a great header. Oh! Oh, superb save. Here goes Bet. Cooper is there, Bet on the run. It's 3 against 2. Bet is with it, brilliantly saved.
Well, Willie Miller, 31 years of age, born in Glasgow. I think he played for Shettleston, and he was a striker at one time, as I understand it, Andy.
Yes, he's beginning to show that, in fact, now in his later years, because he's been breaking from the back and beginning to threaten at the other end. But Willie Miller, as Alec Ferguson describes him as the best penalty box player in the country, and I don't think anyone would argue with that. He's a superb defender, but Hearts today will also have to watch him breaking forward.
Yeah, well, I think some of the tackling in the last couple of internationals, both at Wembley and at Eindhoven, was superb, were they not?
Yes, he's got this marvellous and uncanny ability to read the play and to time his tackles to perfection. The other thing, of course, is his attitude to playing. He's a very aggressive player and a very positive, single-minded player as well.
Well, we can see an example of that now. Single-minded, positive. It all adds up to a very dynamic player.
And every single blue and white jersey was behind the ball there. Not a bad one. Superb touch, Willie Miller. He's done it. The captain has scored only his second goal of the season.
That's Porteous.
Wilson, yes. Miller, the captain, has equalised.
He really enjoyed that. Now, there's the face of Peter Weir. The unfortunate thing about Peter Weir, of course, he's been plagued by injury. I mean, I can't think of a season, Andy, when Peter hasn't been off for some spell or other.
Yes, that's been a tragedy for Peter Weir because he's an outstanding player. But I'm quite sure if it hadn't been for injury, he'd be involved in the World Cup squad. As I said to you earlier, I saw him last week against Clydebank, and he was magnificent. He could, in fact, be a key player in today's game. And he has this wonderful ability not only to go up the touchline, but he can also break inside. He's a very, very dangerous winger, and someone that I think Hearts will have to watch very closely.
Yes, I also think, Andy, that had he not been plagued by that injury, he may well have been a permanent fixture in the international side.
Yes, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, Peter Weir's ability is outstanding, but as you see, this injury side of things has caused him great problems.
Well, he's also an exciting goal scorer and maker of goals as well.
Yes, Peter Weir, as I said to you, I really think...
All day nowadays, the supporters seem to be enjoying themselves down there, making a lot of noise. Mark McGee goes in for it. Almost desperate tackle there. There's a gift, surely. Weir must score. He's done it. Oh, what a gift. McGee. Strachan with that neat ball. There's Weir again with a header. Brilliantly. Peter Weir, 1-0 for Aberdeen.
A very great player indeed you were watching there, Peter Weir, as we approach the vital hour of 3 o'clock by my watch. We're about 15 minutes, just 15 minutes under it, to go to the first Scottish Cup final that Hearts and Aberdeen have contested against each other. And there's the tunnel, just up the stairs there, and into the right and the left are the respective dressing rooms. And they must be very edgy, those who are in there and those who are going back after their limbering up, traditional, ritualistic limbering up process before the game. I often wonder at how players under these conditions can stand and sign autographs. I think we got a brief glimpse there too of Ernie Walker, the secretary of the SFA, who's been away abroad again, just got back. And there is a sight of the stragglers of the Aberdeen squad wanting to stay out in the fresh air for just a little time longer. And we've got a check on the teams. I think they are along the lines we expected they would be, with Clayton, McKimmie, McQueen, Miller, McLeish, Bet, Cooper, McMaster, Hewitt, McDougall, Peter Weir. There they are there. That's a Hearts team first. We have Henry Smith, Walter Kidd, Whittaker, Sandy Jardine, the captain, of course, Neil Berry, Craig Levine, of whom a great deal is going to be written and spoken in the coming years. John Cahoon, that marvellous, stuffy little player, given up by Celtic, who I think must be quietly kicking themselves at relinquishing that kind of talent. Kenny Black. Again, Rangers must look at this man and say, well, he could have done something very powerful for us in midfield. Sandy Clark, ex-Rangers again. Of course, they've got a strong ex-Rangers and ex-Celtic look about them, Hearts.
Sandy Clark, disappointing, of course, that he didn't make it down in England with West Ham. He came back to Rangers and now having a marvellous season with Hearts. Gary Mackay. Now, Andy, I was just bringing you in about Gary Mackay. He scored a marvellous goal the other week. We were together with him in Mexico, where he began to show his promise there.
Yes, Gary Mackay is a first-class midfield player. He's very mobile about the park, which is the first thing. A great worker, the boy. But he also has a lot of talent. And as you said, he is now beginning to show a flair for scoring goals. A recent one when he cut in and hit it with his left foot from about 20 yards is a good example of that. So, yes, I think Gary Mackay will be a very important player in today's match in what could be a very hectic midfield.
And John Robertson, the scorer of the 2 goals we saw in our little preview there. Manager Ali McDonald. Now, Aberdeen, it's taken them a little while to get the full-strength team together, in fact. I mean, if you look back over the trials and tribulations of the past few weeks, or indeed the past few months, I think Fergie would be the first one to play down the fact. But, Andy, they've struggled to put the full team out.
Yes, that's certainly true. I don't think they would make any excuses. The great thing, of course, about Aberdeen is that they've got this massive pool of players. I mean, today, people like Neil Simpson won't be there, Eric Black, and yet we still look at a team which is riddled with stars. So the Aberdeen policy, their youth development policy, their signing policy is such that they've now got a very strong and a very excellent team.
Well, the 2 fullbacks are youngish players. Tommy McQueen was with Clyde. They've never been entirely sure of that left side of the fence, have they? They've swithered about that.
Yes, true. The left full-back position's never been one that's really been noted at like international standard on the level of Willie Miller. But Tommy McQueen's a very good player, excellent user of the ball with his left foot. And of course, he had the pleasure of working and being developed by Craig Brown. He's the only one of the SFA think tank who actually passed his 11+, Archie. But I'm sure that Tommy McQueen will handle today's cup final well.
Well, John McMaster, we're talking about the veteran role, and Sandy Jardine, of course, is the oldest man in the field. But John McMaster was actually considering giving up, not giving up the game, but he thought he was finished in his testimonial year, and with a very serious injury. And I think Alec Ferguson's quote about him was, he brings sanity to midfield. Wouldn't disagree with that.
Oh, no, he's got wonderful composure on the ball. I've just been talking to John, actually, and he said to me, please don't say I'm going to play well, because that'll be the kiss of death. So he's a very modest, very nice lad, but an outstanding player. His left foot is so good that it suggested he could play a violin with it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he could tootle a flute. Alec McLeish, now, there's been a lot of talk about Scotland's central defence, but Alec McLeish very rarely lets Scotland down, does he?
Oh no, Alec McLeish is a very steady player indeed, an outstanding marker. And along with Miller and Leighton, as I said to you earlier, a marvellous triangle at the back. In fact, quite honestly, these 3 players have been vital in Aberdeen's progress over the last few years. And, I mean, you wouldn't like to ever bet against them losing.
John Hewitt must be one of the players who wonders if he can ever make it over 6 consecutive games, because he's now, I think he must have scales on his posterior the time he sits on the bench and then comes off it again, and yet the scorer of incredibly important goals.
Well, John Hewitt, of course, is an enigma. He's a player of vast talent, a goal scorer, wonderful left foot on him, can play through the middle or in wider areas. But John himself would be the first to admit that his form fluctuates. He's the kind of lad here that today could win the match, but on a bad day, he could be no more than average.
Do you think that Neil Cooper's fitness must be slightly in doubt? I mean, I know that he would be passed as match fit for a game of this kind, but remember, he's been out for a long while.
Well, Neil Cooper's attitude is such that he will grit his teeth and fight through the pain barrier. I don't think you need to have any question about that. When he went with us to Mexico, it was the end of a long, hard season, and the idea of starting altitude training, most people would have been turned off by that. But Neil Cooper gritted his teeth and fought his way through it. So, in spite of him being injured recently, I don't think that will really affect his performance today.
No, I have to say that when he plays well, he's very good, but when he's off, he seems to me to be very bad, and that's Jim Bett. He's a bit of an enigma. Is he, not to put too fine a point on it, Andy, a coach's player? Technically sound player, but not exciting.
I don't really know what a coach's player is, right? The good players and bad players. Jim Bett is obviously a good player. Marvellous runs that he makes around the field, particularly forward runs, power runs into attacking areas, and very dangerous approaching the penalty box. Jim Bett has a lot about him, a lot of talent. By his own standards, he hasn't been at the heights that we expect of him. But I would think he would want to use today as a launching pad to set himself up for the World Cup.
And quite obviously, Peter Weir against Walter Kidd, that'll be a key area. I mean, Kidd is a very uncompromising, very steady full-back.
Yes. Yes, there's no doubt about that, but he also likes very much to come forward and causes great problems when he comes forward, Walter Kidd. It's problems for the opposition. Today, he may be tied down a little bit more because he'll be marking Peter Weir almost certainly. And that could alter his style a little bit, but a very steady, in fact, an excellent professional.
An almost excellent professional in the Hearts support who've been following Hearts in their thousands this season, a remarkable phenomenon. When you think back on the Hearts support over the past couple of decades, I mean, I remember going to Tynecastle on a frequent number of occasions and seeing, 4,000 or 5,000 people there, even when they were doing tolerably well. And then suddenly, this great upsurge this season, as if all the supporters, everybody else, imagine that this is their year. Huge banners all around the ground. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with that colour monitor or not. That looks like black and white to me. And this is how Hearts got there. These are the teams he beat. And one of the most vital ones was Hamilton. I saw that game when Henry Smith played out of his skin for Hearts and really was the hero of that day. If he hadn't been on form, then the First Division team would have knocked Hearts out of the cup. Then an easier victory against 4-1, although against St Mirren, although to be fair to St Mirren, Campbell Money was injured in that game and had to go off. And then that remarkable cup win against Dundee United in the semi-final, the goal scored by John Cahoon. The Aberdeen support. Aberdeen started their trail away up in the northeast, almost at home against Montrose. Arbroath again. They were at home to Montrose, away to Arbroath, then that replayed game against Dundee, and back to Dundee for the semi-final against Hibs, where they won in a rather easy manner. And now, the entrance of the Gladiators. Oops, Fergie. You may get a red card for that. There they are, Willie Miller, who's had 3 Cup Winners' medals in the past 4 years, and of course the Skoll League Cup medal winner as well. Alec MacDonald looking quite immaculate. Walter Kidd, John Robertson, Sandy Jardine recognizing some of the people in the stand. Maybe he's Taylor, I don't know. Neil Berry, Gary Mackay. And there, the tail-enders there, I think they're going to be presented. That is the Secretary of State for Scotland, Mr. Malcolm Rifkin, with David Will, the President of the Scottish Football Association, Wallace Mercer, Chairman of Hearts, Ernie Walker, and Mr. Donald, the Chairman of Aberdeen. Ernie's in charge. And we have Scotland the Brave. Sense, the feelings tingling, the blood coursing through these players' veins, I'm quite sure. The adrenaline surging, and I'm equally sure they would like to get on with this. Always a very nerve-wracking occasion. Alec MacDonald's had great experience in cup finals with Rangers, and these are the moments when he can utter vital and soothing words to those perhaps racked with anxiety.
Down the line they go. Neil Berry, a most useful player indeed. Berry given a free by Bolton and coming back to great success in Scottish football. Malcolm Rifkin enjoying this, not only Secretary of State for Scotland but an Edinburgh MP, and he did admit that he would find it difficult on an occasion like this to remain impartial, but drawing on his great dignity and bearing as Secretary of State, he'll manage that. Alec Ferguson has quite often met Secretaries of State in his capacity as a cup-winning manager, not only here but in Europe. Neil Cooper back in the side again. John Hewitt, who scored that remarkable goal in Gothenburg. All the way down the line, Peter Weir, Jim Bett, and right down at the bottom here, Jim Layton. And I really must say, it's marvellous news to realise that he is fit again and that hand injury is back to, or the hand is back to normal. And we are about a couple of minutes away from kickoff. The supporters sensing that, the players certainly, and all of our commentary team. The mass ranks of the Aberdonians, making a marvellous, colourful spectacle. As the camera pans all the way down Hampden Park, it's still an embryonic stadium. In about 10 years' time, it will be completed, fully roofed, fully seated, and we're just getting the hints of a great stadium to come on an afternoon that's turned out gloriously after all the weather that we've had this morning and yesterday. The setting could not be better, although, of course, as I said, we've got to watch that wind and what it brings over the next 90 minutes or so. The pitch, as I said, is looking quite splendid. I think the ball will be moved around at great pace now, and Willie Miller going for his 5th winner's medal, as I said, not bad. For a man aged 31, still with a lot to go in him, and will be a key player in Mexico. I certainly wouldn't ask Andy for a direct forecast, but could I put it this way? If Aberdeen played really well, would you tend to make them favourites?
I think they're favourites simply in terms of their experience of these big-time affairs. Hearts, on the other hand, obviously have something to make up for in terms of last week's the great disappointment. So, you know, sometimes in a way, if you've been wounded, you fight that all that harder. And Hearts' attitude this season has been excellent. So if they're on and the reserve tank comes into play now, then I think Hearts could really, really cause Aberdeen a problem. But I would say that, yes, you're right, that Aberdeen do start as favourites in the match, but don't discount Hearts.
Certainly would not. I think far too many people have discounted Hearts, and this man here, Sandy Clark, coming back into the very top grade of football with performances which have shown his complete and utter dedication to club. He is not the fanciest and most elegant player in the world, but by heaven, he makes up for it and compensates for it in terms of dedication and effort. And right in the middle there, the man with the awesome responsibility, Hugh Alexander from Kilmarnock, the referee for today's game. Oh, it showed you what a wind's like, Andy. It blew the coin away.
Yes.
And Aberdeen, it seems to me, must have won that toss, because Walter Kidd did tell me if he had won it, he would kick from left to right with that strong wind at his back. So, I think Aberdeen have won this initial advantage, but on the other hand, they will certainly have to exploit that. There's a touching little ritual, as there always is, between the two goalkeepers, members of the same union, supporters of each other when the going gets rough. Well, that rising roar around Hampden Park is the anticipation of something like 60,000 throats getting ready for the first ever cup final between Hearts and Aberdeen on a day that we hope matches the splendid weather we're now at least temporarily having. And that is a very strong wind that Hearts are facing. There's no question about that. And the free kick in the first 15 seconds. Gary Mackay. That's a very useful ball. Whittaker picking it up. Both teams wanting a very good start to this match. And there's the coolness of Willie Miller. Very quickly taken by Black. And in goes Cooper, Neil Cooper, driving in. Ten players in the Aberdeen team have already won winners' medals. So they certainly have shown the road to the Cup winners' rostrum. Peter Weir. Little bit of space for him, Robertson going back. You will already have observed that they've had to change shirts, Hearts, because of the clash of colours, playing in their reserve strip. Silvery grey. And the only support we can hear at the moment are the Hearts supports. They're packed under the enclosure. They have the wind at their backs. That might be a bit too strong. McLeish. Of course, the central defence has a very good understanding with Jim Leighton. Built up steadily over the years. Henry Smith's first touch of the ball. Jordan. Mackay. Whittaker. Mackay driving forward. Robertson may try one. Good interception there. Kimmy was in very quickly. And Weir. Tommy McQueen. Miller. McDougall. Oh, beautiful gliding little touch there by McMaster. The pass too strong. McMaster thus early showing a little cool in midfield. Yes, pretty hard on Sandy Clark, free kick. Sandy Clark, nothing will stop him all the same. He likes the game like that. If the going gets rough, he can withstand it. Neil Berry, right in that penalty area. It's an up and under. Kimmy a bit nervy. Oh, lovely little touch there by Cahoon, and it's a corner kick. Well, Andy, although Hearts are playing against a strong wind, they've certainly taken the initiative.
Yes, there's no doubt about that. They've certainly started the game in a very good manner, very positive, going straight at Aberdeen. And you must compliment them for that approach.
And the corner kick, and they're finding it troublesome to keep that ball in. Wind blew it away, and that's Black. Rules a very good corner. Another one. Hearts supporters will love this. Jim Leighton doesn't. Must be a nervy moment for Jim. High quality though he is, he's been off for such a spell, and he's testing the Hampden swirl. Oh yes, pushing Miller that time. Free kick. Hewitt comes in. McDougall goes to the left. John Hewitt will try the shot on. He does, and he scored. brilliantly. John Hewitt, the super sub, the man who scored in Gothenburg, puts Aberdeen in the lead in, just about 5 minutes. 1-0. A superbly struck left foot shot. And he wants more. Now look at the way he dragged the ball towards defence, chose the precise moment to release an unsavable shot. Now from this angle, the high quality of goalkeeping that Henry Smith possesses had no chance. That is accuracy at its best. He really drove forward with great confidence. The defence didn't know where he was going, and perfection in release. Free kick to Hearts. Clark. Hewitt can't get it. Levine goes forward. Sandy Jardine. Andy, I can't help thinking that that really is a vicious blow to Hearts, playing against a team of Aberdeen's experience.
Well, in the first few minutes, Hearts looked as if they were going to settle into the game rather well. And suddenly Aberdeen got the field and it's 1-0. Johnny Hewitt, of course, did brilliantly there. He lined up the shot, and just when I thought, in fact, he had lost his chance, he delayed slightly, and then on the second opening, he hit it away into the corner of the net. Superb goal, marvellous.
And a marvellous start by Aberdeen with Hearts fighting back. Walter Kidd. It's useful. Gary Mackay. And he goes once a 1-2. Shot raining in there. That was Black. Hearts fighting for everything, and that was a leg tackle. Neil Cooper grits his teeth. And I think one or two of the tackles between that pair will be certainly heard up here. Willie Miller. Well, Hewitt was slightly annoyed. I think he must have shouted. The ball didn't come to him the way he had expected from McDougall. Lovely flick on the outside, and there's McLeish. The big man was so casual before the game, you thought he was almost lethargic. He was so laid back and cool, and showing it now even. Yes, late on that. What an enormous pressure goes off a team when they score an early goal like that. And that's another corner kick, and Hearts certainly not dispirited, well, at least they're not displaying that down there at the moment, and it'll be a corner, and again, Black to take that. Ooh. Nearest shot at that end. Aberdeen defence massing and racked. Kidd. Oh, it's not so much a shot, it was more a splash than anything else. Can I also point out, Andy, interestingly, for those Hearts supporters who are listening, take heart. The eventual cup winners have lost the opening goal of the final 23 times.
Well, Hearts are certainly not out of it yet. They're showing a very positive attitude here. And I wouldn't count them out as yet. No way.
Black. Robertson. Little tuck forward there, feels for a penalty, but in actual fact, Cahoon was more at fault than anybody else there. Weir wants that taken again to Alexander. No, I think it's gone for that last tackle, free kick. Well, all credit to Hearts, a goal behind and yet fighting back the way they have against a very strong breeze. Whittaker. Clark, a bit unfortunate. Mackay, still no whistle. Brilliantly pushed forward there by Cooper. He wants a return. Oh, Hewitt picks that up superbly. Weir. Oh, that's brilliantly done. Surely a free kick. Oh dear, no. Referee didn't award that. I thought it was beautiful play by Weir. Just so deftly touching it round his man. Oh, away goes Cahoon in one of these typical bursts of his. Great run by the wee man. A neat chip, but well watched there. Cooper up to it, Berry. Black. Clark. It's a good opening. And there is Cahoon, and he's offside. Oh yes, Andy, full credit to Hearts. They're not lying back. They refused to buckle this early.
No, very good John Cahoon there, good right-wing attack. And he showed great composure there on the edge of the penalty box, chipping the ball in, and it was a bit unfortunate that the ball didn't break for Hearts there.
Yes, well, just a little bit unfortunate he got into that offside area. Throw to Hearts. About 12 minutes of the first half gone. There's a scoreline at the moment. That wonderful goal by John Hewitt. Looked like pushes it. No, referee waves the play on, and Hearts fighting like furies again. Bent. Hewitt. Little bit slow as Mackay came in. I think it's always wise, Andy, for defenders to show that they're not under pressure.
Yes, that's certainly true there. Alec McLeish was just simply taking the heat out of the game there, because obviously Hearts have been trying to raise the pace. And at this stage in the match, obviously Aberdeen just want to settle things down, make a few passes and build on the lead that they have.
And a free kick. Henry Smith trying to organise his defence. Remember, a man has worked hard for his pay packet this season as Henry. Willie Miller himself taking it. Up goes McLeish. Lovely run forward by the big central defender. Those giraffe-like legs of his pounding into that area. Hearts are also looking straight into the sun, and he gets the free kick for the first tackle, I think. Free kick to Aberdeen.
Well, Peter Weir's beginning to push forward more onto the left-hand side here, and that's in fact where the free kick came from. John McMaster, an excellent user of the ball. He's toying around here whether he's going to play it short or not. He's decided to do that and let Peter Weir run at them.
Weir. Oh, it's a good ball, McDougall. That was a very good move technically, Andy.
Yeah, that was excellent there. I mean, they delayed, obviously, and Hearts went flat-footed, and then suddenly Aberdeen made the through pass. They very nearly caught them out there.
Well, Aberdeen are renowned for this hesitant, almost vague-looking way they approach a free kick, when in fact they're not. The very opposite. Up goes the linesman's flag, it's offside. All of those amongst you who are lip readers can make up your minds, but don't phone in. I'll use my imagination to work that one out. Oh, beautiful piece of play by Jordan. We've been watching Sandy Jordan, who initially brought that move up there. Gary Mackay took over. Watch him doing that for 20 years. It's much a bad one by Jordan that time. It's a fatal thing for a commentator from time to time to build a personality up. It really is. Robertson. Weir wants to go for Kidd as well. Berry's with him and pulls him back. Yes, free kick. Seems to me, Andy, as if Weir does really want to have a go at this defence.
Oh yes, there's no doubt about that. In fact, he's very important to Aberdeen here, especially at this stage in the game, that they can feed him with the ball and let him run it out of the Hearts' defence. He looks very much in the mood.
Broken up neatly, though, by Sandy Jordan and Kidd. Jordan. Free kick. Clumsy tackle that time by McQueen, and the free kick, I think, was taken far too quickly. Well, John Cahoon, I think, is being spoken to by the referee for complaining about that. Hugh Alexander so far has been firm but largely unobtrusive. Mackay, he can hit them in when he decides to turn it back. Jordan, it's Mackay. They tried that time. It really has a very powerful shot. Free kick. And just every now and again you get the impression of this Aberdeen defence that they're defending, in fact, rather desperately, you know, maybe slightly taken aback by the way that Hearts have responded to going one goal down so early. Free kick. Cooper right in the way, out they come, here's John Robertson with a chance, and he scored! Oh, it looked like in the net from here. That is incredible. From our angle, that ball looked to be sailing into the net. Now, this is taken from the side. It was just flicked up the line. Look, up it goes, and just over. But from our angle, it looked as if it was going in the net. McMaster. Specialist in these long, floated, left-footed passes. Well, it came off of this, and it really was a marvellous chance. Floated in, Robertson, and watch this. Up it goes, and it looked as if it was dripping into the net, and in fact, it was the other side. Black. Might have been a whistle blown for that last tackle. Hearts are fighting hard. And there's little doubt in my mind that these supporters you can see in the back are the principal reason why this team are refusing at this stage to show any signs of buckling, and indeed the very reverse. You would think they wouldn't lead by 1 goal to nothing. Oh, beautifully floated out. Bet. Kidd just getting down there. There's McDougall. Swings way round with it. It is very wide. And McDougall, when he came to Pittodrie, took a little time to settle. When he did, the goal started to come in. Went back a bit and found it difficult to get back into the side. So we've just gone over 20 minutes, about 21 minutes, and John Hewitt's goal is the only one on the score sheet. Free kick. So McMaster, Whittaker, Berry, should be picked up, and is by Cooper. Bet. Just out. I wonder just how hard Hearts can keep this intensity of pressure, and it's taking a lot out of them maybe against this win.
This is a classic example of one team trying to play possession, that being Aberdeen, and the other team pressing in order to get back into the match. Aberdeen are finding it very difficult, in fact, to get the rhythm going, simply because of the approach of Hearts. They're chasing every ball, they're pressing them, they're closing down the space on them, and it seems strange to say it. I mean, Aberdeen are winning, and yet they're finding it a little bit difficult at the moment just to get the rhythm going.
And certainly the Hearts supporters, you can hear them in the background, may not like this situation with a team 1 goal behind, but they are inspired by the performance on the field just now by Hearts. They are triers. Aberdeen cooling it down again. Oh, neat little piece of play. Almost came off. We're majestically. That's good football by Aberdeen. That's much better play by them. Craig Livy, big defender, pounding forward. Miller, from whom Craig Livy could learn as a youngster 1 or 2 things yet. Well, I think there may be a booking for the Hearts captain, Walter Kidd, greeting it rather ruefully. What a nice man Walter Kidd is. Hard player, and a straightforward and very pleasant man off the field. McMaster. Well, Aberdeen have had that dream start, and I must say, after that goal, I thought they would simply reinforce their position, but that they haven't done. As Andy said, they're playing some very good possession football, or trying to play it. Came off just in these last few minutes for them, but Hearts still with a kind of inspirational quality about them. Bet in a beautiful position. Can he part with a right? He does almost. Still in play, and there it's over the top, and that was a brilliant break, Andy.
Yes, that was a first-class break there, coming from left through to right, and a good cross from Jim Bet. And just, it was the deflection, in fact, that knocked the ball away. That was a very, very good break from Aberdeen.
Now, Bet is renowned for this, good positioning.
Yes, he's a marvellous forward runner, Jim Bet. And here we see him just taking the touch and playing in the cross. And you'll see here just a slight deflection from Whittaker, and it was enough just to knock the ball up in the air and cause a problem at the back post. If he hadn't got that touch, then there was every chance that Aberdeen would have scored another one there.
And I would suspect that if Aberdeen scored another goal at this stage, you
could say almost ta-ta to the rest of the game. Black. Support from Whittaker. Oh, that's dangerous. That's a good one from McQueen. Now it's Weir. As McKimmie had picked that up. Peter Weir. Crowded out by the Hearts defence. They got back very quickly, and that came from Whittaker. Playing it very dangerously across the back. Well, poor Henry Smith simply could not get that first one. Berry. Robertson. Clark. Picked up by Black. Here's Clark. Nice touch. Good recovery, though, by Bett. It looked as if Clark had done the body swerve on him, but Bett, last-minute tackle, proved that he had not got away. Little nod of recognition to Whittaker. Very close, offside. Brian Whittaker, ex-Partick Thistle, ex-Celtic, was wanted by various teams on the continent in the past. Never quite got there. For the East Tynecastle. Hewitt gives in, so does McKimmie, and that'll be too strong. Stuart McKimmie, who's come into international reckoning as well, of course, in the past season. Well, can do without that unpleasantness. Although, as you say, it's a man's game, you get that occasionally. Cleese. Just whipped away and free kick. I'll tell you what, we are blessed with the weather at this stage. I mean, we've been standing out there, Andy, have we not? And the rain's been lashing down, and you've been complaining about danger money that you're not going to be claiming to be paid by the BBC. But the wind is still troublesome.
Oh, yes, there's no doubt the wind's troublesome. That's certainly true. Yes, working with you, you also take the risk of taking pleurisy, you're right. The one danger here at the moment, I think, for Hearts is that they're pushing so many men forward in these all-out attacks that they're making that they're very susceptible to the counter. And they'll have to be very, very careful about that Aberdeen don't suddenly break up the field and get the second goal, because, as you said, that really would, I think, then put them in great danger of losing the match.
Robertson. Intelligent square pass. Kenny Black. Cahoon. That's towards a far post, and Clark came in much too quickly. McQueen. Robertson goes back with him. Good spot by the Aberdeen defender. Is there anybody inside? No, it's Kidd. And Jardine. And the young Hearts striker way back there. Not because Hearts are defending desperately, he just happened to find himself chasing a defender. Berry. Peter Weir. Mackay, that was too strong that time. Here's Weir. I think a push, yes. It would have been a corner kick if he hadn't pushed as Neil Berry went in. That is a free kick. And Everton have gone in the lead at Wembley. Gary Lineker, only goal of the game so far.
McDougall. Oh, this is a good break. Typical Hearts break. Cahoon goes right in. He needed to play it to the side. Hearts really making a game of this. McKimmie going forward, that drifting action of his, and that is offside. John Hewitt. Well, I wonder, Andy, if you've, in the time you've had, we've gone, virtually half an hour, recognise any basic fundamental tactics that either side have been using?
Well, Aberdeen are obviously playing in a fairly tight formation here. See, Hearts start with a very narrow front, their front three, and Aberdeen are playing their back four, being able to play it in a fairly tight manner. They've also got McMaster in the middle of the park there, who's sitting in a sort of quiet area just in front of the back four. So they're making it very difficult for Hearts through the middle, because this is Hearts' game. They're very direct. Route one is their approach, and they're finding it difficult to go through this rather mass defence.
That's a summary of the way these two teams have been playing the first, now, 31 minutes. With Aberdeen in the lead by 1-0 with Sandy Jardine. Well, what about that? As I said earlier on, trays a player and he falls on his backside. Do the same with the weather and you get the monsoon. That comes Leighton, and that was an awkward bounce. Well, neither goalkeeper has had all that many dramatics to perform. Now, who touched it last? It's Aberdeen's throw. Sutton Shaw there. Weir. And I think the ball had gone over. It has. Throw to Hearts. Jardine. Levine. Well cut off there by McKimmie in midfield. This is Black. Clark. Wrong way. Break here by McDougall. Oh, Hearts fighting furiously, as I said, tackling hard. That's a good ball, Hewitt. Henry Smith's committed himself and he had to stretch. Oh. Dangerous moment for a goalkeeper when he comes out that far. Baird trying to go around the outside, and that's pushed away from his feet. And Henry Smith, you know, we've seen goalkeepers do that in the past, and by and large, the success rate coming out is pretty high, Andy, isn't it, really?
Well, that's true. That was Alan Rough there. He must be going to the Alan Rough School for dribbling. So, yeah, certainly it was another good break, though, from Aberdeen. And this is, I see, where they're very dangerous.
McMaster. Hewitt tries a long one. Oh, yes. That was a beautifully drilled shot again. He just paused for a moment, made up his mind he was going to let go, and when he did, it bounced, swerved, skidded, and that was a very good save.
Yes, that was an excellent save, first class, but a tremendous shot from John Hewitt. Aberdeen are obviously going to watch him very closely now.
Weir. That. Forward it goes. There was no offside flag. Well, this is good quality striking, Andy, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, excellent balance and a beautiful strike of the ball. Yes, Aberdeen will really have to start and use John Hewitt. He's obviously the key front player at the moment.
Cooper taking plenty time to look at that. And the push by Levine this time. Craig Levine, youngster who came from Cowdenbeath as a kind of gangly youth, and in the space of about season and a half, couple of seasons, have developed into a very elegant and mature-looking player. The wind almost blasting at Henry Smith there. Nervy-looking line-up. There was Peter Weir with a shot. And Neil Berry comes out with it to Black. Willie Miller. Offside. Smith. Could see quite clearly he wanted to get on with it. Gary Mackay. Whittaker. Drifted in again. Clark. Robertson. Good run forward by Kidd. Oh, Junior, the goalkeeper that time, but quite clearly, Andy, Hearts have not been affected by the strength of this wind facing them.
No, they've played very sensibly so far going forward, as you say, into the wind. The one thing here, of course, is that Kidd and Whittaker are both trying to push forward simultaneously, and this is certainly leaving gaps behind them. So when Aberdeen win it, they're looking to exploit that. But you can't take it away from Hearts. They certainly have a marvellous attitude to this game, and they're pushing forward at every opportunity.
Levine quickly, and the wind did bother them that time. No question about that. A huge volume of Hearts support. Caught in mid-song by a pass like that. It's a difficult one. Oh, beautifully killed there by Sandy Jordan. He just stabbed at it. That's how to play. Having said that, Andy, Aberdeen do look cool and organised, and when they get going, very much the smooth-looking team.
Well, they're beginning to take the heat out of the game now, the sting out of it. I mean, for quite a while their Hearts were really posing them problems the way they were pressing them. But now Aberdeen are beginning to settle down now and take, as I say, the heat from the match.
Hewitt. Heatler the 1-2, referee waving play on. That was Cooper, Willie Miller coming forward. Now McQueen. Peter Weir. Second player comes up to cover. McDougall gets his header in. One touch from McDougall. He's done hardly anything in the game, and yet it was almost a lethal one. Good run there, and a lovely cross, and a gentle little touch. And away go Hearts. That's a very good save indeed. Berry. Right to the goal line. Needs to be a quality finish. There's a short in a Sanchez pass from Mackay. So desperately unfortunate. There was a deflection. It's a corner kick. Oh, this is the teeth gritted, the fingers and the hands clenched. Putting everything into it now, Hearts. Just over 5 minutes to half time. Well, Hearts changing the mind of who should take this. I'm not quite sure why.
That's how difficult it is to keep the ball stationary in this wind. Which all gives Aberdeen time to recover. Ooh, that was a difficult swerving one, slightly deceiving Jim Leighton. And we now have exactly 5 minutes remaining of this first half. A bit unfortunate for Hearts that they had that little basic trouble about putting the ball on the corner circle there, because Aberdeen were looking slightly groggy again. Willie Miller comes up. Sandy suggested he'd been doing that more and more frequently as he's got older. That's McDougall. Cahoon. Clark. Black. No, he's not happy with that, Sandy Clark. A barging from the back by Whittaker. It's a free kick. Well, Hewitt asked for it, then ran in the wrong direction. Hearts playing it out coolly. Oh, McLeish has been excellent in the air. Clark has had nothing out of him this afternoon. McDougall, a bit late getting there. Good interception by Garrick Mackay. Hearts into the wind, into the sun, still pounding forward. Very bad ball into the middle. McDougall. Handled. And I think Neil Berry said something. Is he being booked? Yes, he is. Second Hearts player to be booked. Arguing with the referee. This is always futile. Miller. Levine. Game going through a little flat period with 2 minutes of the first half remaining. Up comes McKimmie. Good surging run there by McKimmie. Seeing the opening and heading for it. Oh. Certainly a risky pass by Sandy Jordan. Well, it's a good ball indeed, Gary Mackay. Goal now would help Hearts. Scores, and that's almost an own goal. That really bothered the Aberdeen defence. Although Willie Miller doesn't look flustered. I think he's camouflaging his anxiety. That was an excellent ball. Watch what Miller had to do, screwing round at it. And perhaps that was a deceptive angle. I think it was nearer than that. However, corner kick. A minute of this half remaining. Up goes Leighton. And that didn't bother him at all. Hewitt, I don't think will get this. He did very well indeed. He's having a fine game. Tried to curl it in. Virtually on the half-time whistle, it should go any second, and it does. Aberdeen are leading Hearts by 1-0. Goal scored by John Hewitt in the 5th minute of the game, and quite excellent goal. I've seen a lot of cup final goals, and I think we could put that into the solo category by John. Took it upon himself to go into that Hearts defence, go at them. As Andy Roxburgh was saying earlier on, almost as if he had lost his chance, and then swept the ball home. Now, there's only one goal in it, Andy, but what we've been reading so far is Aberdeen controlled, disciplined against a Hearts side that is inspirational, still fighting very hard. But the equation, nevertheless, seems to be tilting towards Aberdeen.
Well, Aberdeen started the game as favourites, and obviously they remain that at half-time. Not only are they winning 1-0, but they're beginning to come to terms with the game far more. They're now settling into a rhythm and a pattern. In the case of Heart of Midlothian, they have shown wonderful enthusiasm here, pushing forward, as I said, endlessly. They've been very unlucky, actually, on a couple of occasions, particularly the one where John Robertson was right through, and just a heavily weighted lob, and it went slightly over the crossbar. He was very unlucky there. That could, in fact, of course, been the equaliser. So I would say to you at this stage in the game that Aberdeen, as I said to you, remain the favourites. But Hearts, at this stage, there is no way that we can discount them from this match because their enthusiasm for the match, the only slight thing is that their front two, particularly someone like John Robertson, is having to retreat rather more than he normally would. He's been chasing back balls that normally he would be staying up the field. The same with John Cahoon to a lesser extent. And of course, Sandy Clark hasn't quite been getting the touches in the air that they need. This has mainly been because of McLeish and also the wind, which hasn't helped them when the ball's been in the air.
Well, you can see the wind there, the Busbys, and sitting out of the wind, or maybe even standing in the wind, I'm not quite sure where he is Dougie Donnelly, who's going to be leading us into action of that other cup final in that other event, in that other place. Dougie.
Yes, thanks, Archie. It is, as you say, very much the lesser event for those of us at Hampden this afternoon. But don't try telling that to any of the citizens of Liverpool, because it really is a marvellous all-Merseyside occasion. The first time ever Liverpool against Everton. Everton lost in the final last year. And for Liverpool, of course, led by that remarkable man, Kenny Dalglish. It's been his year, hasn't he? He's set all sorts of records. The first man to play 100 times for his country, the first player-manager to win the league, so many other records. It would be a brave man indeed. It would predict that Kenny Dalglish today will not add that one missing medal to his collection, an English FA Cup winners' medal. Let's pick up the highlights of the first half with John Motson.
It's Johnston. Outfield came across, that's Sheedy. Reid. Bracewell. Reid again. Liverpool throw. Dalglish looks for Johnston. That's Vanden Hauwe. It's a Liverpool corner. The first of the match. Try again. Throw in this time. Off Lineker. Nicol. And a very good effort there by Jim Beglin, who'd stayed forward following the corner. Now that's what you call a bird's eye view. Might be some debate about how he actually got there. He'll have a story to tell when he gets home, Jimmy. And Lineker there, surrounded by three red shirts. And Moore will be very confident about his back pass to Lawrenson. And then that was a challenge coming in from Mountfield, which left the Liverpool player-manager in some distress. The referee had a passing word with Mountfield, who definitely took Dalglish there as he tried to turn him. Whelan, Dalglish, Vanden Hauwe, Sheedy. They're looking for Lineker, and Grobbelaar, unorthodox. How effective is it? It's gone straight to Trevor Stephen. To Gary Stevens now. Sharp! And they thought that they should have had a penalty. Alan Robinson did not.
It'll be worth a look at that again, I can tell you. He's blowing his whistle, the ref. I don't know what he doesn't like. It gives us a chance just to have a look at that. Just coming in from the edge of frame there. He seemed very upset about it, Sharp, as if there was no doubt in his mind that he was held.
He felt he was impeded. Away by Lawrenson. This is Johnston. Really driven that, aiming for rush. Molby. Stevens. And Lineker's off again. Lawrenson's got a full-time job on there. Needs all his pace. The flag's up for a foul the other way, actually, but it needn't be given because Liverpool have the ball. Lineker just shoving Lawrenson. Now Rush trying to get in behind Ratcliffe. Halfway through the first half, Everton 0, Liverpool 0. Nicol. This is Bracewell. Lineker, nice touch. Peter Reid. Back again towards Lineker. Lawrenson's long leg stretching out a corner. Chipped forward for Lineker. Now Molby. This is Molby to Dalglish. Now Reid. Lineker off through the centre again. This is promising. Lineker for Everton. Saved by Grobbelaar. Lineker. 1-0 to Everton. And who else but Gary Lineker? His 40th goal of the season for Everton. The footballer of the year. Peter Reid's through ball, absolutely measured. It puts Lineker clear of Hansen. Grobbelaar made the first save, and Lineker followed up and put Everton into the lead after 28 minutes of the All-Merseyside FA Cup final.
So there it is, that Gary Lineker goal separating the two sides at Wembley. He's been England's top scorer this season. He's going to Mexico, of course, as their main striker, and he's clearly still in form. So it's going a little bit wrong for Kenny Dalglish at the moment, Back here, of course, an identical scoreline. 1-0 to Aberdeen, that marvellous John Hewitt strike after just 5 minutes. But I can tell you that it's very windy indeed down here. And, of course, in the second half, Hearts will be playing with the benefit of that wind behind them. So this cup final has a long way to go yet. 45 minutes to be exact. Let me hand you back once again for second half coverage to our match commentator, Archie McPherson.
Thank you very much, Doogie. Well, Andy Roxburgh and myself have been having the traditional ritual cup of tea, and I do apologise that just as we were having it, we noticed there, and I don't think Doogie realised that we didn't actually see the goal by Gary Lineker, and all that Gary Lineker and Doogie were doing was just tantalising us so that you can see it tonight in Sports Scene. In fact, not only will you see it tonight in Sports Scene, you may see it at the end of the afternoon. In fact, since you missed it then, we will show you it 10 times over if necessary. But you will see Gary Lineker scoring there. Now, I was actually going to hold a competition for the best banner. If the director can go slightly back to that, if he doesn't mind. There he is. Well, we've got a different banner this time. Hawaiian Hearts and Chernobyl, I think we did the last time, has disappeared. Now, where is that other banner? There it is. Chernobyl Hearts. Is that good, bad, or indifferent? Is that a criticism? It surely can't be. Well, the fallout hasn't affected Aberdeen in any way, because they are very confident. That is their date of birth, as it were, not what the scoreline is going to be. And lucky for those punters down there, the weather has dramatically improved. And what about that now? What does that read? Come on, lads, hold it up a bit. Something Keys. Might well be a pub in Edinburgh. Aberdeen a magic? Yes. Well, now, Aberdeen are in the driver's seat, as it were, and why? Because of John Hewitt's goal, that's why, which was scored in exactly 5 minutes and done quite brilliantly, the way he wandered in to the penalty area and then smack. Yes, that was a beautifully struck goal. So when Hearts one goal down at that stage, they might have buckled. Not a bit of it. A bit unfortunate not to have gone into a better position and got the equaliser from this little dab. Oh, that was so unfortunate for them. Look at Robertson. Oh. Well, the Hearts support having given up, and there is John Robertson. Huge banner there of Robbo. Well, there's Wallace Mercer, edge of the stand, looking not disconsolate, but serious. Knows what's in store. And now, folks, after the huge build-up, I'm going to show you the Gary Lineker goal. I bribed the boys to show it, and here it is. Liverpool on the tack.
To Dalglish. Now Reid. Lineker off through the centre again. This is promising. Lineker for Everton. Saved by Grobbelaar. Lineker. 1-0 to Everton. And who else but Gary Lineker? His 40th goal of the season for Everton. The footballer of the year. Peter Reid's through ball, absolutely measured. It puts Lineker clear of Hansen. Grobbelaar made the first save, and Lineker followed up and put Everton into the lead after 28 minutes of the All-Merseyside FA Cup final.
1-0 up. Liverpool saw the start of the second half. Aberdeen 1 up, facing a very strong wind and the sun. And they have realised that even though they took an early lead, Hearts refused to lie down to it, and indeed looked a very inspired team at times. And it really is good to see a performance like this. Aberdeen containing more artistry in the team, I suppose, and balance, and away go Hearts. And well, I think that's a bit unfortunate. This is this Robertson, I suppose, technically was in an offside position, but the ball hadn't actually been played forward to him. But it is offside, that's what the referee decided. Dougal. Whittaker. Bet. Cooper. That's McDougall. Jim Bet. Pulling out the defence. Berry. Not making a very good job of this now. Peter Weir. Laid his tackle on him, and there's Bet. John McMaster going in for that. Ends up at a pass to Weir. Needed some body swells. That's a shot. And from that distance, never any trouble for Henry Smith.
It looks as if John McMaster, in fact, has pulled a hamstring, which would be a major blow to Aberdeen because he's been playing such a steady game in the midfield for them.
Well, Andy, how would you... as the ball went away, I didn't quite spot what he was complaining about.
Yes, well, he went into the tackle there and there was a collision and he went down. I don't think it was so much the tackle, I think it was just the way he landed.
Yeah. Well, I think McDonald has been up and down on that bench like a jack in the box, expending as much energy as some of the players on the field. It's been a hard week for him. But he's remained admirably cool, taken everything with a great sense of dignity.
Well, Davy Wiley's obviously working away on John at the moment, and it appears as if he's okay, which is good news for Aberdeen.
Just limping ever so slightly. Jordan. Well, always difficult. Pass back into the sun. Leighton making some kind of comment about it. Oh, beautifully flicked by Hewitt. He's having a superb game for Aberdeen today. Weir. Walter Kidd. There's a dummy, there's a goal. 2-0. John Hewitt. A superb goal by Aberdeen. Beautifully, technically executed. And the rippling red and white harvest of support, acknowledging a superb piece of play. And that could be the goal that kills all parts. A really tenacious run here by Weir. The beautiful little dummy. And excellently finished. His second goal. Aberdeen are 2 up. And we've only gone 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes exactly for that goal. And no wonder, even from that distance away, they realise the journey has been worthwhile. Andy.
Yeah, I see Aberdeen are now bringing on Billy Stark. That was certainly a marvellous goal there. Peter Weir, a great run to the line. At one point must be made there about McDougall. McDougall has been running unselfishly today, dragging men all over the park in order to allow Hewitt the freedom. And that's precisely what happened at the goal. A great dummy from McDougall, and Johnny Hewitt was on to the end of it.
Well, I mean, realistically, I don't want all the Hearts supporters to be turning off, but they really do have a major problem now, Andy.
Oh, yes, it's a real uphill climb now. It's an Everest they're going to have to climb. But there's a long time still to go in the game, and obviously, if Hearts could get back in with a goal fairly soon, then who knows?
But they really need a goal. Hearts really need a goal to make a game of it in the next 5 or so minutes.
I thought for a moment there Alec was going to take a game himself, Alec MacDonald.
Clark. Corner kick.
Now, can they hit back right away? A good corner, a good strike. And they're in with a chance again. McMaster is off, as Andy had suspected. Maybe that injury wasn't as slight as we thought. There's Stark, the substitute. Not a bad substitute to come on either. Whittaker is up there, and so is Leighton. Now, the long legs of Alec McLeish in the outside right position. Wonders will never cease. Not a bad cross, Alec. Here's Bent. Oh, has he gone too far? No, he hasn't. Gets a corner. Excellent play by Aberdeen. Look at the way they broke in that rather unconventional manner by McLeish. And then little dart forward there by Jim Bent. There's McLeish, McDougall, Willie Miller feels for the penalty. Miller tries to go up again. Aberdeen trying to turn the screw now. Both central defenders up on attack. And the free kick as Clark went forward. It's all so very frantic out there in the last couple of minutes. And Aberdeen, I think, were going for the real killer punch there. Goal kick. As you said earlier, Andy, Willie Miller likes to come forward a lot now. He's a very good player for suddenly popping up, and I think that has been seen more evident as he's grown older, but McLeish was up as well there.
Yes, that's true. They're both very good at breaking from the back. One thing that both of them are doing in the game, though, is that they're pushing the back four fairly tight into their midfield, and this is denying Hearts space now. The other thing they're doing is beginning to throw the ball around the field, and they're really making Hearts run.
And this is where the events of the last week will tell perhaps in Hearts, except they have shown over and over again they've got great reservoirs of courage. Clark, can he flick it through? He does to Robertson. Can he get his shot in? No, he goes too wide. And if you go too wide, you end up with Miller down your neck. Clark gets a corner, and they're still fighting on. I don't think they've ever lost sight of trying to satisfy the appetite of that huge support of theirs who've waited for so long for success. Corner kick. Ooh, Leighton didn't like that. I think it went straight through. Goal kick. Now then, lecturing the referee. About fitness in a goalkeeper, Andy, I know it was a hand injury and I know he kept fit, but if he's out of game atmosphere, I think he perhaps becomes a bit rusty.
Yeah, that's true, but I'm sure that Jim's been back in training and got his eye in, and I don't really, I mean, he hasn't really been exposed today, so it's difficult for us to make a judgment on that. But I'm very, very happy, as I said to you earlier on, that he's playing in today's game with the World Cup coming up. It's a vital match for Jim.
10 minutes gone of this second half. Aberdeen still in the lead by 2-0. And I may say, are looking more and more confident. More a slip than anything else. Clark.
Aberdeen have now changed their tactics. They've got Neil Cooper playing the anchor role in front of the back four. McKimmy's gone into full-back. and with Stark on the right-hand side and Bett on the left. So this is the great thing about Aberdeen's squad. They're so flexible that they can constantly change their tactics.
Now Bett. Lovely little break by Bett, and he can't get it to the side. Great piece of covering there by Neil Berry. That is what he's so very good at. Oh. I wonder what Neil Simpson had in mind there. Maybe he knew somebody in the crowd who wanted a ball. Dada goes to the side, up comes the captain. Well, that's a lovely shot. Oh, great run by the captain, Walter Kidd. Oh, a little bit of anger there, and there's Willie Miller, the old one, against the young one, and he's very annoyed about something. I mean, he should get a lawyer in on that. And that was a very good effort by the Hearts captain. Why was Willie Miller so perturbed about that, Andy? Come on.
Well, that's what good teams are all about. They have leadership on the park, and there's no way Willie Miller was going to let McQueen off with anything there. So it's very important if you've got a team of nice boys, you win nothing. And in this case here, Willie Miller being very aggressive with his young left back. It's necessary.
It actually had to be restrained. Feathered figure, of course. This McQueen, he's learned his lesson, he's sticking in anyway. Whoops, free kick. Well, a wigging off from his feather, and he responds. So there's Bett to the side to Willie Miller, who's decided to come up towards Stark, and harmlessly plodding past. Billy Stark, a very useful player. Again, the kind of player that has fitted so well into Aberdeen's plans. Flexible kind of player. Pushed by Clark, I think. Craig Levein will be quite content to let that go over. Craig Levein, one of the prime assets for surely for Hearts' future, and I hope, everybody hopes that a team like Hearts, club like Hearts, can hold on to a young player of inestimable talent. Got a bit of style about him, Craig, as well, as being a stalwart in defence. Oof, Alec McLeish shaking his head. I think he'd been hit by a tank. Stark, a little bit slow. You just get the impression now that Aberdeen are containing the game and will go forward whenever is necessary and appropriate, Andy.
Yes, that's certainly true now. Neil Cooper is beginning to dominate in that midfield area there, posing Hearts a problem. Obviously, Hearts will gradually begin to lose the edge that they had early in the game when they were running around at 100 miles an hour. Sandy Clark certainly has been doing his best here to try and stir them up, though. A great leader's job up front there. But they desperately now need a break, Hearts. I mean, you cannot fault them in any way for commitment, but they desperately need something to happen for them in the front area of the field.
And they're pressing forward. There was a loud shout for a penalty there, but the referee turned away from it. And here's Bett picking up in that loose position. He's made already several darting runs in the second half, and Weir gave up on that. Just got away with it. Except the tackle was late, and I think Sandy Clark realises it. Acknowledges that. Great competitor, Clark. Played in a cup losing side with Rangers, of course. Watch round the back, and John Hewitt in sharply. Now, John Hewitt is on the verge of an interesting record. There have only been 2 hat-tricks in finals. Jimmy Quinn for Celtic against Rangers in 1904, and Dixie Deans for Celtic against Hibs in 1972. So he could be the 3rd man in the book with a long way to go yet. We've only gone 16 minutes in the second half. Here's McQueen. Gets a corner. Tended to run away from the ball there.
Once again there though, Archie, we had the sight of John Robertson making a 40-yard run to shut off Aberdeen in an attacking position.
Peter Weir. Not quite cleared yet. McDougall coming after it. Trying to find Billy Stark, and he does. Oh, good play by McDougall. I mean, the obvious pass was to push it to the outside, and he went in the reverse direction and found the big man inside. There's where he decided to change his mind. Go kind of southeast this time, and away up towards the head to Stark, and that was not far away. Jordan. Whittaker. Useful ball, Clark, and he lay it back. Gary Mackay tries to get in. Still fighting. Gets a corner, though. And Hearts putting as many players forward as they could there. A sign of courage again on their part, and I don't think being reckless. They've really, in a sense, nothing to lose trying to get players up there. They've got to be that bit cautious at the back, but there is a corner. And the ball was moving. Still moving. Almost ended up in Croft foot. Now, it looked as if Gary Mackay was being apprehended for a minute there from that angle, as if to say, now, here, sir. Bad corner kick and all that. There's a touch, and there's a bar. Unbelievably bad luck. Still there, Clark can't get it in, whipped away. Oh, they badly needed that. Very badly needed the goal there. It floated in, and there it was, flicked up. The shot by Berry almost broke the bar. Well, that's a bad pass, Stark. McDougall running wide. Oh, he looked rather lumbering there. Lost the opportunity, and a breakaway like that, you've really got to be sharp. Nevertheless, we go back to that one, that cruel bad luck, that just about a couple of inches, and that would have been in the top of the net. Hewitt, a bit ambitious. Sandy Jordan really hasn't put a foot wrong in this game. He can't be faulted except now, even as I say so. Here's Cooper, this is interesting. Hewitt is doing the diagonal run, there's a shot! But I think Smith knew as soon as it had left the foot that that was going wide. And I think this will confirm it. Kidd blocked it out well. Jardine. Free kick. Alec MacDonald. I wish you could have seen that. I think Alec MacDonald would like to get and play the game now for Hearts. Not a bad ball again. Eric McLeish. Oh yes, Leighton was down in that. He'd almost collapsed in a heat, Leighton, before the show, about 10 yards before the shot reached him. A sound save by the keeper. John Robertson getting room for himself. You could see how Leighton was down there waiting for it to fold into his arms.
It was a brilliant turn by John Robertson, but the strike wasn't exactly clean, Archie.
Hart still pounding forward. Gary Mackay. Neat little turn. Oh, there's a great pass. Robertson going in, kicked. Penalty kick, surely, no. Well. Aberdeen just struggling to get that away. And that wasn't so much a Hearts attack. That was a tornado going into that penalty area there. Now watch this. Mackay with a pass. Kidd in great position. And this year, as he went forward, down he went. Louch out for a penalty. I'm not sure of that, even from this angle, whether he just tripped or not. Now, Cahoon. John Robertson. He does too much on it. They're still fighting, and this is a great performance by Hearts. We thought that they, even in the first half, that would have been a sore blow for them, but now 2-0 down, and halfway through the second half, they've still got the pride and the courage, and the supporters are backing them up all the way. And that Aberdeen defence have been looking ragged in the last 5 minutes, and that was a very bad tackle. Free kick. And that takes the sting out of those attacks, because Aberdeen, Andy, did look distinctly groggy.
Oh yes, I mean, Hearts there have really been giving it their all. In fact, they've actually been playing now with Guy abandon. And they really have been very unlucky there. Obviously, the boy Kidd had a great chance. John Robertson with a chance. And in fact, the one where John Robertson ran into the crowd of bodies, you think, in fact, if he'd gone onto his right foot, he may have scored from there as well.
And here's a tackle as John Good tried to go round Kidd, which he simply could not do. Well, Andy, I've been saying throughout the season that it looked as if it was going to be ordained that Hearts would do something, win the championship, win the cup. And yet, Lady Luck seems to have slightly deserted him this afternoon.
Yes, it's beginning to look like the biggest hard luck story ever. It really is a tragedy for a team that have done so much. I mean, just listen to that crowd. I mean, Heart of Midlothian have brought that number of supporters back to football. And I mean, what more can you say? I mean, no matter what happens today, Heart of Midlothian are successes. I see Aberdeen warming up young Joe Miller down here. It's Joe Miller who's got the legs of a sparrow, but he looks like that, but he's a fantastic player, and they obviously would look to maybe bring him on.
He used to play football in Garrahool, where we lived, and all the boys knew him up on the public park in Garrahool. No free kick. Gary Mackay.
Hearts are so anxious to get players forward here, and with Aberdeen trying to flatten the defence up, they're getting caught in offside situations.
Well, the scoreline is still 2-0. And there is only 20 minutes remaining. Just under that, 19 minutes remaining. You can always hear the Heart support, though. And that was a late tackle, I think, yes. Just as the play departed from that scene and we followed it, Robertson went straight in. Was in off the ball, and the referee is taking a serious view of this. The game has been a very sporting one. It's been just the occasional little flare-up, but nothing very much. But that was very, very late indeed. Number 5, I think he's indicating. And he's booked. Now, we can see what happened here as Cooper went in. There was the very late tackle. In fact, that was a display quite clearly of anger and frustration. And perhaps he's even lucky to stay in the field for that. Bit of a collision, misunderstanding. That's a better attack. That gay abandon that Andy was talking about seems to have taken over in Hearts. Throwing the ball about well. Always giving the impression they can fight back into this game. And the captain, a great example to them. Theodore on his own, virtually. There's McDougall. Now he needs a bit of pace here, and he's brought down late. Some of the tackles a bit frantic now, and I think the referee may be taking a very stern attitude. The one thing I did discern earlier on, well, we'll talk about it in a minute, as the play starts again with a free kick. Here's McQueen. Kiruia, a tantalising little shuffle of his. Throw to Aberdeen. Free kick, yes. I don't think the Hearts players can complain about that one. As I said, this man there, Walter Kidd, he's been a great example to his side. I know he's been booked, but, you know, that can happen in a cup final. He is a hard but fair player, and he's been driving them on in the second half. Oh, there's a third one. Billy Stark. 3-0 for Aberdeen, and that is the cup final well and truly finished, I think, as far as Hearts are concerned, and the celebrations for Aberdeen, with only 15 minutes remaining, will go on from now until Monday morning, I suspect, as Billy Stark picks up the killer goal. And it was beautifully done by Stark, launching himself and the ball catapulting into the net.
Also, actually, two magnificent runs to the front post there from Cooper and McLeish, which took the Hearts defence away, and the ball bypassing them, and a great finish from Stark. That's two headed goals from him 2 weeks running, but obviously this one is far more important than his one at Clydebank.
That's a scoreline, a very impressive one. And no doubt all the people in the northeast watching this programme right now will have joined in the celebrations, rightly so. Aberdeen, even though in the second half they were in front, took the full fury of a fighting Hearts team, withstood it. They were technically, I think, a superior side to Hearts, more individual flair, and they remain cool. It's paid off. Berry. Oh, took it like a rugby fullback. Andy.
And Joe Miller now on for John Hewitt, so that's John Hewitt lost the chance of this record that you talked about, Archie. He took a heavy tackle there just before the last goal. John Hewitt has been outstanding in the match, not only in terms of the goal-scoring side of it, but also in the way he was used as a target man. He had a fantastic match there for Hearts, for Aberdeen.
Well, we must have a word with the Aberdeen manager about his substitutions after this. Fine young player in Joe Miller off. That'll be a booking. Mackay very late with that. Well, there's a bit of gamesmanship going on here. It's all been a bit unpleasant in the last few seconds. So, 4 Hearts players booked. And it looks to me as if he's booking the Hearts captain, and if that's the case, he's off. Isn't that tragic? What a sad ending to a player who's given his all for his club this afternoon. But if he's broken the rules, then off he has to go without any sympathy. Now, what do you make of this situation for the Edinburgh side? 3-0 down, reduced to 10 men. I doubt even if a succession of miracles would save them. Now, I hope none of the other players lose the control here out of exasperation and frustration. There's late tackle there by Ben. I think the sheer momentum of the player going through caused that. Here's Berry. Corner kick, and they're still fighting. Look at the way he's trying to get the ball back into play again. Corner kick. I make it 11 minutes left. Clark almost getting there. Joe Miller. Black. Miller right in the way. Miller, oh, brilliantly done by the youngster. Great tackle by Berry. Well, Hearts have been full of this all season. I mean, they really want to go places, and it looks as if they're going to have one of the most disappointing seasons in their history, in coming so near yet so far. And yet we will never forget them for their attitude to the game, which has provided a renaissance for Edinburgh football. Great run forward again by Cahoon, but Aberdeen are the match of this now. And there's so little time left for Hearts. 10 minutes remaining as McLeish picks it up. This is McKimmie drifting forward. He'll try the shot, and it wasn't. Far away. Just got slightly underneath it, but had the right intentions. Saw the gap in the Hearts defence as he went forward. Probably see him just chipping at it more than anything else. And there it was, underneath it, and all was going up.
after the sterile European Cup final. Actually, this just underlines what football's all about here. This is about excitement and flair and imagination and, above all, drama.
And that drama, I think, and all credit to Hearts, they have made a game of it. I cannot stress this enough, that to lose a goal so early in a cup final after the disappointing week they had, a lot of us suspected that if that had happened, they would have folded. Not a bit of it. 3 goals down and they're still fighting, and that is exactly what Andy is suggesting makes this cup final so different and so human as compared to what we saw in midweek. Gary Mackay in hard. Good turn there by Tommy McQueen. There's McDougall. Bet. High square by Cooper. Willie Miller comes forward. It's 4 against 3. Now Stark. A disappointing ball by Stark. Final pass. Clark. Robertson. Weir, Bet. Aberdeen playing it around with style now. Bet. Oh, beautiful pass by Bet. Stark trying to turn inside, almost gets there. Studious play there by Jim Bet. All about timing the final pass. Oh, that's Slack and Hearts are looking slightly depressed at the moment. Here's McDougall, allowing players to come up on him. Joe Miller. Cooper. Peter Weir. He has Berry there. Gets it in. This must be another one. It is. No, it's been disallowed. It is not a goal. The referee saying offside, I think. Oh no, a push. She's indicating a push. Still 3-0. Joe Miller it was who pushed. Here's Beer. Bet goes in front of him. Bet has played a very useful role in this latter part of the match. It's a free run almost for McQueen. In that shadow there, and into the sun, and there's Stark, and it's a side net. And Aberdeen are playing now, Andy, as if the game is well and truly won. Well, it was after that third goal, but now they're demonstrating it clearly.
Oh, yes, there's no doubt about that. I mean, it's just sheer professionalism now from Aberdeen. Making great passes and great forward runs. People like McKimmie and Cooper and so on have been making forward runs, even Willie Miller. So obviously Hearts, they're still trying, but the game is now well away from them, obviously.
And a fairly bruising tackle there by Sandy Clark, ends in handshakes. I was saying earlier that I didn't notice Fergie down on the bench the entire game, and I don't think he has been there. Willie Miller takes that. Danny Mackay. Whittaker. Beautifully picked up by Bet. Now the counter-attack, and he's a specialist in this. Joe Miller Brought it down well, even though the wind bothered him. And Sandy Jardine, his timing to perfection. Right to the end, there's only 4 minutes of this 1986 Scottish Cup final remaining. And young Joe Miller from Lanarkshire Schools Football with this corner. Gary Mackay. I don't think there was any serious intent in that. It's really accidental.
That's a new one for the coaching manual, that, a 1-2 off the referee.
And I can announce that the man of the match, Mr. Superfoot Award, has been won by John Hewitt of Aberdeen. No wonder. A couple of goals that effectively won the cup for the Dons, and here is Black. Sandy Clark. And it's the Aberdeen supporters we're hearing now. Dougal, Stark, Gilberry, Clark, Cahoon, floated away towards that far post. It's a goal kick. Yes, a quite extraordinary game here. We knew it would be an enormous challenge for Hearts, because when I saw them during the week, they were contending with two different things. One, depression after losing the championship, and secondly, they had a debilitating bug which swept through the club, and some of the players were distinctly unfit. Well, they've been fit today, but what I think has won it is the technical discipline of Aberdeen, the great experience, and those little individual busts that have made the difference between lead and dross and lead and gold. And most deservedly, the cup is going yet again to Pittodrie. A couple of minutes, and the referee will be putting the final seal on this. It's a matter of waiting it out now. Aberdeen know it, Hearts know it, and both sets of supporters. Robertson with the shot, whistling pass. I think there may have been a deflection, yes, a corner kick, and the Aberdeen bench, minus Alec Ferguson, he's watched the game from the stand, which I think must be the first cup final he's done that. Hearts fighting to the end. Young John Robertson's shot coming in. Now this should swing in viciously. Black. Jardine. Gilberry. Robertson with a shot again, and that's two shots in the space of 1 minute. And at that rate of attacking, you'd think Hearts were really peaking. In fact, now it's just a case of waiting for the final whistle. And yet the Hearts supporters, sounding as if they're in the higher throes of delirium, shows you what a marvellous support they are. Although there must be an ache in the throats. Neat little reverse pass. Sandy Jardine will try the shot again, and it's not their day. We're watching the referee, and there it goes, the final whistle. Aberdeen have won the 1986 Scottish Cup final And Alec Ferguson comes down from the stand to meet one of his old Ibrox buddies, Alec MacDonald. But there, the triumphant manager, Alec Ferguson, who is running on to get his players. Initially, there's Teddy Scott, the Aberdeen physiotherapist, come general factotum. His first responsibility is to get to the players and congratulate them. And Alec Ferguson has now watched his team win the Scottish Cup in those occasions, 1982, 1983, 1984, and now 1986, and we are still chasing him for an interview. But it's the players who come first, not unnaturally. Tremendous performance by Aberdeen. They've now scored 20 goals in their history in cup finals. And much of that credit goes to the man with his arms raised aloft. What a send-off to the World Cup for that pair, Fergie and Big Alec. And the goalkeeper. It's almost a World Cup reunion out there. That lovely, expansive smile on the face. The big red-haired Alec McLeish says it all, and now...
When it mattered in the game, they played well. That's what cup finals are about. Spalma!
Congratulations, Alec Ferguson. What do you think of the
Well done,
result?
son. Well, we played when it mattered. When there was something extra to be given, our players were able to give it.
A couple of great goals from John Hewitt.
Some magnificent football from us at spells, you know, and give credit to Hearts. It's a tragedy last week. I mean, that's the pity about it, but well, we were here to win the cup, and that's what we did. I'm delighted with them.
And he is delighted, and indeed a nice gesture there by Alec Ferguson to mention the disappointment that many people felt in Hearts losing the league championship last Saturday. Oh, how cruel the world can be. We now await the Aberdeen players going up. And by the way, let me repeat that John Hewitt is Mr. Superfit. There's the provost of Aberdeen there, I think. Yes, it is. Just beside the provost of Glasgow. And up comes Willie Miller. And there, Willie Miller. This is the fourth time he's held that cup aloft. Jim Layton, the man who came back, didn't mind smiling into the cameras minus a tooth, and hugs very safely, I may say, the plinth. The Aberdeen supporters who have travelled down all this distance are now beginning to think they should book a permanent place on those terracing slopes at Hampden Park. The man who meant so much for that second goal, Peter Weir, Frank McDougall and Billy Stark, scorer of the third goal. McKimmie, Stuart McKimmie, Jim Bett, Neil Cooper, the youngster Joe Miller. Nice to see the Lanarkshire boy we knew getting a medal. And Mr. Superfit, John Hewitt.
Willie Miller, congratulations. The fourth time in 5 years. How does it feel? Is it getting a bit of a habit?
No, it's never gets a habit winning here. It's always a great occasion, and thoroughly enjoyed it today again.
Is it one of the better ones you've played in, do you think?
I thought it was a good open game, yeah. Hearts done a lot to make it so. They had a few chances in the second half, but we scored the goals at the right time.
And the crowd from both ends of the park, I think, magnificent.
Yeah, fantastic. I think they're all enjoying the day out, and the sun's actually out for them, so I think they've had a great day, and we've had a great day, so...
And the sun's shining for you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
And there come the Hearts team It's difficult for them to contain their emotions again. That is quite clear. You cannot begin to believe what it was like over in that dressing room last Saturday at Dens Park. And now it's happened again. There is a brave man and a very nice man indeed who took all this defeat in this past 70 days with great dignity. And the winners. There they are. And now the Hearts team have decided to go and greet this very large and loyal support. It's almost incredible to think they have done so much and won nothing. Well, won nothing for the record books, but won the respect of many people who thought that Edinburgh football or Tynecastle football had become mediocre. They've lifted it up out of that, brought people back onto the terracings, and oh dear, do we need that in modern football.
John Hewitt, 2 great goals. Just talking about the first one, you're not known as a man who hits the ball as hard as that.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I'm quite a good hitter of the ball, but I just seen the goal in front of me and I made space for myself and stuck it in the back of the net.
What about the second one?
Well, the second one, again, it was played down the left. The ball was played across the face of the goal. Fratton dummied it, and I had the whole goal to really put it away.
And Mr. Super Fit, despite the fact you spent most of the second half on the bench.
Well,
what's the matter with you?
Well, I knocked my ankle and it's quite sore, so I had to come off.
It's not serious, though?
No, hopefully not.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
There's the Aberdeen support. It's going to be a very joyous journey back up the road, but as I said, they're now becoming accustomed to it. And the Aberdeen team, I think, will be going back for tomorrow to parade the streets again. They are now the double cup winners, the Skol League Cup and the Scottish Cup, and proving yet again, as we hear the Northern Lights of Aberdeen appropriately being played by a very perceptive PA announcer, that they are far from in decline, the very opposite. They may have had their hiccups in the league, indeed they had. They acknowledged that themselves, but they have proved that they are still a mix of technical soundness and flair that can, on the right occasion and the right time, prove successful. That's the trophy, that's the prize. And that's the man who made it possible, I think, in that crucial goal, the third goal, late on in the second half. Killed Hearts stone dead. It's sometimes, when you consider the stress and the strain of a long season, but I think Revel Alderson is now getting the scorer of the third, Billy Stark.
Quick one. Billy Stark, congratulations scoring the third goal, coming on as substitute. How do you feel?
I feel absolutely brilliant. I mean, I couldn't have hoped for that. The boys were doing magnificently, and unfortunately Johnny picked up an injury, otherwise I probably wouldn't have got a chance. So to score a goal is just unbelievable.
What about these people behind you?
Fantastic. I mean, no decrying the old firm, but I think that the fans have turned out today and supported it without them, and really it was a magnificent crowd.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
And that is the first time, I think I should point out, in these 4 wins in 5 years that Aberdeen have had, it's the first time they haven't won the cup in extra time. They went to extra time on all the other occasions. Not that it mattered eventually, because they won it today deservedly and with style. Although, as I think one or two of the players in the interviews acknowledged, including Alec Ferguson, Hearts gave them a game of it. And that's what made a cup final. And it's all a matter now of getting back into the dressing room, getting away from all my colleagues down there who will interview them until midnight, if they care, getting back in there and celebrating privately. At the moment, it's in the public domain, and there is a delighted Peter Weir. Well, has joined the Miller family. He's adopted that trophy. And I'll tell you what, he's not going to give it up easily, knowing that man down there. Well, Billy Stark, a brave man, having to put on a scarf, and he's exerted. Oh, yes, I like it. Good luck, the Dons. That's Neil Cooper. Neil Cooper and Alec McLeish, who's going to mean so much to the Scottish defence in the World Cup in Mexico. Yes, he's not exactly sad, is he? He was looking so cool, as I said, before the start of the game. Now the Aberdeen supporters are away for their own celebrations as Hampden begins to empty against the supporters spilling out of the ground. The Hearts supporters were calling for the team again, but I think Hearts, frankly, have had enough. And at the moment, looking away up here with the storm clouds, I think, gathering. I hope it doesn't interrupt the celebrations. We can look that way, there's still sun. We're sitting away up in the press box. Dougie Donnelly is somewhere down there, and I think I can hand back to him now.
Yes, thanks, Archie. The weather, the least of our worries on a day like this. It's always one of the great highlights of the sporting year to be down here and to see the joy and the celebrations and the heartache of a Scottish Cup final. What a final it's been. All credit to Aberdeen, of course. They came as favourites from the moment John Hewitt scored in 5 minutes. They looked like winners. But let's spare a thought for Hearts. They must be feeling that fate has dealt them the cruelest blow of all. Last week at Dens and again today, and all in front of that absolutely marvellous support. Right, let's catch up.